Good morning. It is 5 a.m. I'm Jay Harper in for Joan Jones, who will be returning tomorrow. We hope. I've got your top stories. We'll get you a weather forecast and also a traffic report here early on this Wednesday. President Trump apparently eager to get the budget bill across the finish line as some see some prices rising among the trade war. Here's ABC's Mary Bruce on Walmart.
At Walmart, the nation's largest retailer, the cost of some toys way up. A baby born doll that cost $34.97 in March now costs $49.97, up roughly 43%. Last month, an Etch-a-Sketch cost $14.97. Now it's $24.99, a nearly 67% increase. Walmart's CEO had sparked Trump's anger by warning the president's tariffs would lead to higher prices. Walmart telling us the new price hikes are influenced by a variety of factors.
Higher tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, pushing them to 50%, are set to take effect today. Here's ABC's Selena Wang with more on steel.
You can imagine that our trading partners are not happy about this because he had paused those reciprocal tariffs to allow negotiations with other countries. But as we are having these trading talks with other countries, the president then upping tariffs on a critical trading good. So we are seeing this backlash.
The Justice Department saying two Chinese nationals smuggled a potential agro-terrorism weapon into the U.S. The fungus known to kill crops and be harmful to humans. The two suspects were allegedly receiving Chinese government funding for their quote-unquote research. Here's ABC's Pierre Thomas.
They're alleging that they tried to smuggle a very dangerous fungus into the United States, one that annually causes billions in damages in crops around the world. And if consumed by humans, can cause vomiting, birth defects, and other types of illnesses, including liver damage. So they're saying that this is a national security matter, and they're treating it as such.
Back here in Tennessee, an assistant district attorney is facing charges after he allegedly assaulted a woman multiple times in Rutherford County. That's according to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. The TBI reports that on Tuesday, agents began investigating allegations of domestic and aggravated assault. Assistant District Attorney Quinn Rodriguez was determined to have assaulted a woman, according to the TBI. Rodriguez allegedly brandished a gun, threatened to kill the victim, and hit her with a weapon during one of the reported assaults. Agents arrested the ADA on charges of domestic and aggravated assault on Tuesday afternoon. He has been booked into the Rutherford County Jail on a $10,000 bond. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. On this first report of your Wednesday morning, no accidents, no breakdowns. Things are moving smoothly into the metro. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506. Good morning to you, friends. It is Nashville's Morning News for your Wednesday, June 4th of 2025. Hope you are doing well. Today's weather partly cloudy and a high of 90. And there's a fungus among us, or at least there could have been, if China had their way. We are going to get into that story. Fascinating story where these two Chinese citizens accused of smuggling into the United States that fungus that causes a disease in wheat. You just heard Jay Harper in for Joan Jones talking about that, reporting on that. And these folks, loyal members of the Chinese Communist Party. And, you know, you wonder why. You wonder why Donald Trump, this is what angers me so much about some of these people that are critics of literally everything Donald Trump does. Realize that the tariff war that is going on right now, realize part of what Donald Trump wants to do is he wants to weaken China. And so the accusation with this fungus that was almost among us was that this apparently, according to some, has Chinese fingerprints all over it. And so when Donald Trump and when people say, why the hell are we letting China buy farmland? And those people are called racist. But it's a great question. When you have these Chinese nationals accused of smuggling into the United States this fungus that causes a disease in wheat, barley, maize, and rice, so that one of them could research the pathogen at a University of Michigan lab where the other one works, and one of these folks was a loyal member of the Chinese Communist Party, this is a problem. This is a very big problem. And so then when Donald Trump, he tries to weaken China, and when Donald Trump says, you know what, we've got to look at some of these people, some of these students that are coming in from China. We got to know exactly what they're doing. Harvard and all of these other universities have all of these students that come in from other countries like China. And Trump says, maybe we need to really start taking a look at these student visas. Maybe we really need to start taking a look at China buying up farmland. We don't know what these folks are up to, but there's nothing racist about being concerned about these kinds of things. They say the alleged actions of these Chinese nationals, including a loyal member of the Chinese Communist Party, are one of the gravest national security concerns. So is all that fentanyl coming across our southern border. And y'all know where all that fentanyl comes from. Ultimately, it comes from China. So that story is distressing for so many different reasons. The other thing the other question I would ask is, you know, these are the ones that we caught. These are the ones, the Chinese nationals that we caught. Remember one of the things that, and I'm spitballing here, but remember one of the first things, I think it was day one, when Joe Biden was took the oath of office, when he took the oath of office, one of the first things he did was he canceled the program that Donald Trump had instituted where he was, if I remember right, and I don't remember all the details, but basically it was keeping a very, very, very close eye on China and China's stealing of our intellectual property. And Joe Biden said it was racist. It was racist. And he canceled it. So, good Lord, who knows what in the world came in during the 4 years that Joe Biden was president. And now, again, these two Chinese citizens, they have been caught trying to sneak this fungus into America, accused of smuggling it into the United States. We'll keep you updated on that story. But all I can say is thank the Lord that we caught these folks. And so we'll talk about that in more detail as the morning continues to unfold. Now, yesterday we spoke, and this was really interesting. Yesterday we spoke about whether or not you felt like Elon Musk had been betrayed by Donald Trump. Remember that whole conversation about how the big, beautiful bill, and I'm putting that in air quotes, if the big, beautiful bill had betrayed Elon Musk and Doge? I believe that it does. And so, lo and behold, after I got off the air yesterday, Elon Musk goes absolutely nuclear on Donald Trump and the Trump administration on X. And so there is a lot to talk about with this situation with the big, beautiful bill, because there's now a lot of Republicans that are coming out against this bill. And part of the conversation has to be what was promised by Donald Trump regarding Doge in the election and what we ultimately got.
You know, I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, doesn't decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
Yeah, so remember that yesterday our Daily Dan poll question was if you felt like Elon Musk and Doge had been betrayed by the spending bill of the Trump administration. And I believe that it was, what was it, about 60% or so KGB agreed that Elon and Doge, 60% agreed that the big, beautiful bill was a betrayal of the concepts of Doge. Some 60% of you felt like that. Yes, the massive spending bill was a betrayal of Elon and the whole purpose of Doge. Many economists, including Elon, feel like, yes, it will increase the deficit and it will increase the debt, trillions of dollars. Now, remember, though, in that interview that Elon, I just played you audio from this interview that Elon did with CBS, he was very polite. Remember this, Elon was incredibly polite. He was hesitant to really get into the details of how frustrated he was with the Trump administration.
We have differences of opinion, but it's difficult for me to bring that up in an interview because then it creates a bone of contention. So then I'm a little stuck in a bind where I'm like, well, I don't want to, speak out against the administration, but I don't want to.
You could hear. I want you to listen really closely because I thought it was actually kind of funny. Listen to the end of this soundbite where Elon is just, I don't know, flummoxed. Is that the right word?
Administration, but I don't want to.
He doesn't know how to use his words to express how irritated he was with the Trump administration regarding the spending bill. All that changed yesterday on X, and it's a big story this morning. Details straight ahead. It is 5:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Yeah, Dan, so far so good on this Wednesday morning. However, we do have one crash reported. This is in Jolton, Whites Creek Pike southbound before Jackman Road. Not affecting traffic, but again, that is our only incident thus far this morning. We've got traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay. Today, partly cloudy and a high of 90.69 now at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thanks for listening to Nashville's Morning News. This headline, Elon Musk goes nuclear on Trump and his big, beautiful bill, calling it pork-filled and disgusting. By the way, watch us on YouTube if you would. Take the poll. By the way, like and subscribe. And take the poll. I think it's a good one today. And basically, and I don't know exactly how we worded it, but the bottom line is, who do you believe? Do you believe that, or what do you believe? Do you believe that the big, beautiful bill will cut the deficit, as Donald Trump and some Republicans say, Scott Bessent for one? Do you believe it'll cut the debt and the deficit, or do you believe that it will increase the debt and the deficit? Because you have, and I've been saying this for a long time, it's like the tale of two narratives. You've got, Trump and the Republicans, some Republicans, that are saying that it will cut the debt and the deficit. You have others that are saying it will increase the debt and the deficit. So I want to know your opinion, because I think the opinions are all out there. And as Scott Bessent has said, just wait and see what happens. But I want to know what you think. Take the Daily Dan poll and like and subscribe. Watch us on YouTube. And you can also find us on the WTN app. You can find out all of the different ways to listen to the radio program and watch the radio program at 997WTN.com. Elon Musk went scorched earth on President Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill, calling it a disgusting abomination and condemning lawmakers who voted for it. The billionaire, former first buddy, blasted it for massively increasing, and this is a quote, the already gigantic budget deficit. He says, "I'm sorry, but I just cannot stand it anymore," Musk wrote in a post on X. I've gone through this. There's a lot of tax breaks, but would also, many say, increase the national debt and the deficit considerably. White House and Republicans would disagree with that statement, but bottom line is it depends on who you believe. They say it was by far Elon Musk's strongest attack so far and could put the nail in the coffin of his bromance with the president. They say Musk notably did not use Trump's moniker for the federal spending bill. The president, of course, and many refer to it as a big, beautiful bill. I've called it the big, beautiful bill. I've called it the big, ugly bill as well. But for Elon Musk, his meaning was epically clear. He says this massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong, he says. You know it. He added it will massively increase the already gigantic budget deficit to $2.5 trillion and burden American citizens with crushingly unsustainable debt. And here's the thing, and this is the squishy part for a lot of Trump supporters, is that when Trump and Elon were effectively on the same side, and Elon was talking about all of this, everyone was like, yeah, right. I mean, he's absolutely right. Go get him, Elon. Take that chainsaw and cut the federal government, cut the debt, cut the agencies, so on and so forth. But now the big, beautiful bill comes out, and Trump and Elon Musk now are on opposite sides and now apparently warring over this. Then it's a sticky situation. Do you still agree with Elon now that he's on the opposite side of Donald Trump as, we find out more about what's in the big, beautiful bill? So I want to know. I want you to go out and I want you to go to YouTube and I want you to take the Daily Dan poll today. Now, Mark Caputo is the White House reporter for Axios, and he was on with Steve Bannon, and he talked about this massive blow-up that Elon Musk actually had with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. This is what he said, because there's some folks that are saying that Elon's feelings are hurt.
He had this big blow-up, which we first reported at Axios, with Scott Bessent in the White House, outside of the Oval Office, a screaming match. During that shouting match between Elon Musk and Scott Bessent, I think in April, Scott Bessent told him, "You're a fraud. You promised $2 billion, $2 trillion in cuts. Then it was $1 trillion. Then it was $500 billion. Now it's only $150 million. You're a fraud."
So we all know that there have been massively epic disagreements with Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and these battles with Elon and members of Donald Trump's cabinet. Eventually, it was time for Elon to go. I mean, we all know he had, 130 days, I think, as a special government employee. So, yeah, it was time for Elon to go. But one of the other things that Elon posted was this. And again, this is a quote. "We need to fire all politicians who betrayed the American people. So now the question is, will Elon Musk use his vast fortune to primary some of these Republicans? And it wouldn't surprise me if he did. Because remember, he's come out, or some people have said, I don't know if Elon has said it himself, but a lot of people have said that Elon's done. Elon is absolutely done with trying to fund some of these candidates. But will he primary some of these Republicans that are going to vote for and have voted for the big, beautiful bill? By the way, listening to this audio from this guy from Axios, Mark Caputo, I hope I'm saying his name right, by the way. He also spoke about the timing of these posts.
This was timed to happen when Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, was at the podium. This was done by Elon Musk. Don't sell him short. This is done to cause maximum damage and impact. It was personal from Elon Musk. His feelings were hurt.
And that's what I just said. His feelings were hurt the way that he was treated within the Trump White House, apparently by not only Donald Trump, but of course the Trump cabinet as well. There was a lot of talk about how Elon, I was on vacation at the time. There was a lot of talk about how Elon got that black eye. Remember that? And there was thoughts, actually, that Stephen Miller, policy advisor, right? Stephen Miller, actually gave Elon that black eye, and I don't believe that was ever proven. Elon said that he was playing with his son, and his son gave him the black eye. But I think, and I'm trying to picture it, I think it was Elon's right eye that had the black eye, and Stephen Miller is left-handed. So everybody's out there saying it was Stephen Miller. I have no idea. But how did Caroline Leavitt, how did she react to those posts as they were posted, as you just heard the reporter from Axios say, they were posted during the White House press briefing? Well, as you can imagine, it came up, and you'll hear coming up how Caroline Leavitt did handle those questions about Elon Musk. It is 5:23 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Jay Harper. Hey,
Yes.
Louis, how's the training going? That's actually not Louis' fault. We've had some computer issues.
Yeah, I know, man. That thing's got a mind of its own.
It does, but although you'll notice that it when it has a mind of its own, it never actually helps us. It always hurts us.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, Jay Harper,
Yes,
what is coming up during the news at 5:30?
Well, Dan, you've been speaking of it, and we've got more as 2 Chinese nationals arrested. And for those that are just waking up, we'll tell you why. And more air quality concerns in parts of the U.S. And a hit-and-run driver here in Nashville is allegedly an illegal immigrant. We'll have those stories and more coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
528, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, some early results from the poll on YouTube. If you go watch us on YouTube, you can take the Daily Dan poll. The big, beautiful bill will, 74% of you agree with me, it is going to add to 528, the deficit. That's on me. That's on me, actually. And let's see, 26% say it will lower the deficit. So most people, at least right now, agree that it will add to the deficit. Now, let me do one thing. I had to pull that up. That's down. All right, good. Now, Caroline Leavitt we were talking about Elon Musk posting on X about everything that Elon said negative about the big, beautiful bill. And the comment that was made was that he posted them right when the White House press briefing was happening. So it did come up, and this is how Caroline Leavitt responded.
And something that just crossed, Caroline, how mad do you think President Trump is going to be when he finds out that Elon Musk said, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it."
Look, the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it.
All right. News with Jay Harper right now on WTN.
Good morning. It is 5:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A weather forecast. It's kind of hot and kind of wet, and a traffic report is coming up. 2 Chinese nationals accused of smuggling a pathogen into the United States. At least one of the suspects allegedly has ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Here's ABC's Lionel Moisey.
2 Chinese nationals are accused of smuggling a biological pathogen into the U.S., which officials say could be used for agricultural terrorism. The fungus Fusarium graminearum targets crops such as wheat, barley, maize, and rice, causing billions in damage worldwide each year.
Air quality concerns in parts of the U.S. ABC News meteorologist Jeff Smith has that and more.
We're tracking smoke and storms. Smoke from the Canadian wildfires, of course, and storms along a cold front extending from the Great Lakes down to the south. Now, that smoke will just cause hazy skies over much of the east, no big air quality issues. But there could be air quality concerns over parts of Missouri, Iowa, all the way up to the UP of Michigan. Improving air quality, fortunately, over parts of Minnesota. Meanwhile, Saharan dust will be impacting Florida by Thursday. Dry air will limit storms, and dirty sky will make for colorful sunsets.
Back here in Nashville, Metro Police say an illegal immigrant from Venezuela was the driver in a May 18th hit and run that seriously injured a 21-year-old man who was out celebrating his birthday with family. Channel 4's Lydia Fielder says 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles is commenting while the federal investigation he pushed for plays out.
Ogles wrote here in this social media post that Mayor O'Connell is more focused on obstructing federal immigration enforcement than he is on protecting the people of the city. For the last couple of weeks, Ogles has pushed for more answers after the mayor requested the names and charges against the people arrested by ICE. Now, in that process, the mayor signed an executive order, and through that, the names of some ICE agents involved in arrests were made public. The mayor says that was never the intention and that their names were immediately taken down from online.
Now let's go ahead and take a look at stock futures this morning before the opening bell. The Dow up 45, the S&P up 8.5, the NASDAQ up 19.5. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Thank you, Jay. It is 5:33 on Super Talk 99.7. It is June. Time to get your system serviced the best way, the busy bee way. It's getting really hot, folks. Again, highs around 90. Is your air conditioner ready for the hot summer ahead? Well, let me ask you this. How does a beach trip sound? You purchase a new HVAC unit here in June, and you're going to be entered to win a free 3-day beach getaway courtesy of Busy Bee. You buy the unit, they'll take care of the vacation, including gas, 2 meals per day, and lodging. The winner will be announced on Facebook Live. Now, don't forget about all of Busy Bee's June specials. You can get those air ducts cleaned. They're giving a free package upgrade. So you buy the middle tier package, they will upgrade you to that deluxe package. How about $500 off of select tankless or upright water heaters? And maybe you'd like, 15% off a whole home drain repipe. In other words, Busy Bee is giving you all kinds of ways to save. Find them online, busybeehvac.com. That's busybeehvac.com for more specials specifically for WTN listeners. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. busybeehvac.com.
Already a couple of crashes early this morning, but frankly, the traffic volume is so low, it's not adversely affecting traffic just yet. In Antioch, a crash reported 24 westbound that's coming into the city at Harding Place. And out in Jolton, an injury accident, Whites Creek Pike southbound before Jackman Road. Everything else looking pretty smooth this morning. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.537, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Super Text line is up, and I'm talking to folks like 1303, who says, hey, Dan, did you hear Donald Trump totally diss Rand Paul yesterday? I sure did. I'm going to talk about that. He says, 1303 says, it was bad. Some of us lean libertarian. He says, some of us lean libertarian because we are very fiscally conservative. He says, I am upset with Donald Trump and feel myself turning away from the president because of the BBB. And he says that Donald Trump cannot afford to lose that block. He says, 1303 says, we agree with Rand Paul, Elon, and of course, Ron as well, Ron Paul. But then other people say that, you know what, Elon is wrong and Donald Trump is spot on. Go take the poll. Watch us on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Go take the poll. The big, beautiful bill. Will it add to the deficit or lower the deficit? You've got, at last check, 74% says that it will add to the deficit. You've got 26% saying that it will lower the deficit. And I opened up the radio program talking about how you have Trump and many Republicans saying that it will lower the deficit, but you've got others, still others saying that it will, it'll add to the deficit. And so, I mean, I don't know who to believe, but I'm looking at this whole thing, and I have such immense respect for, people like Scott Bessent. Obviously, I have respect for Donald Trump as well. We're going to have to wait and see how this whole thing plays out. Caroline Leavitt, because earlier I was talking about how you had President Trump and Scott Bessent and others defending, of course, the big, beautiful bill. Elon posted that he absolutely hates the big, beautiful bill. I've already talked about that. But I loved what happened during the White House press briefing yesterday. Because Caitlin Collins, of course, need the audio up, if you would. Caitlin Collins, of course, you know that she is really the archenemy of Caroline Leavitt. And she asked this question. She asked about all the criticisms of the big, beautiful bill.
On the big, beautiful bill, you said recently that it is, quote, blatantly wrong to say that it adds to the deficit. You essentially said that an estimate from the Congressional Budget Office and other scorekeepers you believe are wrong. But Republicans like Ron Johnson and Rand Paul disagree. They are saying that it will add to the deficit. That is their concern. Is the White House's position that those two Republican senators are, quote, blatantly wrong?
All right, so that is the question of Caitlin Collins. By the way, Heather on the Super Text line says, love Trump, but I hate the big, beautiful bill. Just another way to milk the taxpayers. But that's the question. You just heard Caitlin Collins, of course, longtime Trump critic, by the way, over there on CNN. But she did ask the question. She leads with talking about Rand Paul and Ron Johnson, of course.
It is. Those senators, it's not news that they disagree with this president on policy, and the president has vocally called them out for it and for their not having their facts together. I would add the Congressional Budget Office has been historically wrong. In fact, they predicted the Trump tax cuts from the president's first term in 2017. Their prediction was wrong by $500 billion. Those tax cuts had nearly $500 billion more of revenue than the Congressional Budget Office scored. And I would also point out, I don't think many people know this, there hasn't been a single staffer in the entire Congressional Budget Office that has contributed to a Republican since the year 2000. But guess what? There have been many staffers within the Congressional Budget Office who have contributed to Democrat candidates and politicians every single cycle since. So unfortunately, this is an institution in our country that has become partisan and political. Yep. And we are very confident in our own economic analyses of this bill. There is $1.6 trillion in savings, and our Office of Management and Budget Director, Russ Vought, is a fiscal hawk. He is well known in this city for being a well-respected fiscal hawk. He has tools at his disposal to produce even more savings. And as you know, the White House will be sending our rescissions package to Capitol Hill today.
And on immigration...
All right, so there you go. I loved how Caroline Leavitt was like, you know what? Let's talk about the CBO. Now, the American Tax Policy Foundation also says this will increase the GDP. That's good, but will also ultimately increase the debt. So the debate, of course, will continue. Right now, it is in the hands of the Senate, where they are hoping to have this on the president's desk by the 4th of July. Trump can only afford to lose 3 Republican Senate votes, and a handful have already voiced their opposition, including Rand Paul. Donald Trump did post this on Truth Social regarding Rand Paul and others, his defending it. He says, we will take a massive step to balancing our budget by enacting the largest mandatory spending cut ever. And Americans will get to keep more of their money with the largest tax cut ever, and no longer taxing tips, overtime, or Social Security for seniors, something 80 million voters supported in November. He says Trump, that was a Donald Trump in a Truth Social posting on Monday. By the way, let me see. He did talk about Rand Paul. And I don't think I'll see if I can find that thing on Rand Paul. But it was pretty bad. Donald Trump had some pretty harsh words for Rand Paul. By the way, I don't know if you heard this. Marjorie Taylor Greene over there in the House of Representatives. Now, she says that she voted for it, but she didn't see this one particular section. Do you know what this section does? This actually irritates the living crap out of me. There is a section in the BBB that basically forbids states from passing laws regulating AI for 10 years. That's right. Inside this bill is a section that won't allow states to regulate or pass laws related to AI for 10 years. Now, she says, Marjorie Taylor Greene, again, big-time Donald Trump supporter, she says that if it does come back to the House, she'll actually change her vote. And by the way, one last thing on this. In the Senate, there is this thing called the Byrd Rule, which mandates that all parts of a budget bill actually focus on budget-related matters and not general policy issues. So it seems to me like whoever concocted the big, beautiful bill, they kind of snuck that in there, the whole AI thing. They kind of stuck that in there, snuck it in there, knowing full well that it would not pass the Byrd Rule in the Senate. And so we'll have to wait and see what happens. But for me, this is going to be a great, great conversation. I will always temper my criticism of the Republicans in Congress and Donald Trump, et cetera, with saying it could be a heck of a lot worse if Kamala Harris or, Lord help us, Joe Biden were in office. And it would be a heck of a lot worse if the Democrats were in charge of the House of Representatives, if the Democrats had the majority, if Hakeem Jeffries was the Speaker of the House. And so there is a lot going on. Apparently, I've irritated a few of you, which is fine. 4543 Jay Harper tells me to shut up. Now,
I saw that. Yeah.
I've said a lot of things
Getting
this
surly.
morning. So I don't know what exactly I was saying at 5:39 when 4543 told me to shut up.
Yeah.
So if you folks could,
don't recall.
I don't recall. So if you folks could, what generally happens, Jay, is people will respond in real time, which I love that people are responding in real time. But then a full 7 or 8 minutes later, when I actually have time to read it and they tell me to, for example, 4543 telling me to shut up, please be more specific. Because I don't know exactly what you're telling me. I'm assuming that 4543 is somebody who doesn't like any criticism at all of Donald Trump and Republicans, which is fine. I totally get it. I understand. That's not the way that I roll. Hey, Jay.
Yes, sir.
We need a zebra update. People are asking,
I know.
Okay, so has the zebra been captured?
Not to my knowledge. Again, I have been looking. I knew people would be curious, as are we, as to the status of all this.
Sure.
And that was one of the things that I started digging into when I got here this morning, and I've yet to see any updates on this. It's pretty disappointing. I don't know. Maybe this animal, they were saying it may be in Lebanon yesterday. Heck, it may be in Kentucky by now. Who knows?
When zebras, when they run through the plains of Africa, they can cover, hundreds of miles.
Yeah, that's what we're told. Yeah.
So it's very possible that said zebra is somewhere in Lebanon, somewhere in Wilson County. Maybe said zebra is still. Do we know if this zebra is a
male or female? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not seen any information on that.
Okay.
We did get a lot of suggestions for what its name could be yesterday. And
did we?
Yeah, it seems like Zippy was the the consensus name for this
Zippy the
animal.
zebra?
Yeah, Zippy the zebra. It's kind of funny because I noticed several people came up with that name. It wasn't
Zippy the
just
zebra.
It wasn't just one person, but
that literally sounds like a Sesame Street character.
I know it. Yeah,
Zippy the zebra. All right.
I don't know, man. Whenever
was that on my show or was that on Chris Hand's show? Because I don't remember doing the names for the zebra bit, but maybe I did. And I just
we
don't
did.
remember.
Yeah.
Did we really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's that rum, Dan.
Jay, the mind is the first to go.
I
man.
know, man. That rum still, with its residual effects.
Now, clearly, in my case, the hair was the first to go, but the mind is clearly, a very close second. All right, thank you. Thank you, Jay.
Yes, sir. I'm here for you, man.
All right, so your next Zippy the Zebra update is coming up at 6 o'clock here on Super Talk. By the way, if you know, I think we're all trying to get the owners of the zebra on our respective shows. If anybody knows the owners of said zebra, will you let me know? Because I want to get these folks on. And you know what? It'll be, I promise, if you know the owners of the zebra, it will be a judgment-free interview.
Yes, and they could, I would assume, Dan, they could choose to remain anonymous, right? Or would you demand they identify themselves so that you don't get some prankster?
You know what?
Prankster.
I can pre-record the interview and slow their voice like way down or whatever.
Right.
And so, they could be totally anonymous if they want to be anonymous, but judgment-free. I want to know why people would own a zebra. That's one of the things I really want to know.
Yeah, what is it about a zebra that makes you want to own one?
I don't know.
We've been told, and as you have said, Dan, the darn things are typically pretty mean. Don't like people.
It's like people that own snakes. I don't know why people own snakes.
I'm not.
You can't snuggle a snake. You can't snuggle a zebra.
Yeah, it's just like and iguanas and these other exotic, quote unquote, pets.
Turtles are nice though.
Yeah.
I do like. Do you know what I've always wanted? Do you know what a newt is, Jay Harper? A newt is like an underwater lizard. And
yeah. Okay.
I love newts. I've always wanted a newt, never had one. But I've always been fascinated by them because for whatever reason, they are, as I said, they're like underwater lizards. And they're just epically cool. And I've always been fascinated by newts and also by turtles, little turtles that you can keep in an aquarium. So I wanted to get some, Jay, but I got overruled by not only my first wife, but my second wife, too.
So what are you going to do now when listeners start sending you newts? Are you prepared to have 23 newts?
Nobody's going to send me a newt.
You don't think?
No. You know what? When I say that I'm hungry, not one person will even send me like an Egg McMuffin.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to send me a newt.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty funny, though.
Perhaps.
Jewel says that another good name for the zebra would be Zippy the Houdini.
Yeah, I did see Houdini yesterday.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Could do that, too. Or we can stop trying to name the damn zebra and just move right along. It is 5:52. Sorry, darn zebra. Jay, every time I curse, I owe a quarter to the mason jar. Not Mason Fleming, but
not
just,
Mason.
No, but just but basically, yeah. I'm trying to cut down on my cursing.
All right.
And,
Yeah,
and
good luck with that.
another thing that I keep forgetting. So a quarter goes to the mason jar. All right, Jay Harper, what is coming up in the news at 6?
Well, we'll have more on Elon Musk's reaction about the BBB. And we'll also have a story about the Tennessee Appeals Court reviving the state legislature's effort to cut down the number of Metro Council members. That's coming up at 6 o'clock on Super Talk.
By the way, Jay,
Yes, sir.
I don't know. Have you heard any of the audio from last night's big Metro Council meeting?
No, not yet.
Oh, my Lord. Okay, so coming up in the 6 o'clock hour, I'm going to play some audio from the Metro Council meeting as you have all of these people that are hand-wringing over the illegal alien criminals that ICE arrested.
Yeah.
Wait till you hear this audio. It is all straight ahead on WTN. Man, do I have a great place for you to get your European car serviced or repaired. Renstall. This is a great company, and I want to tell you a lot about it because what they do is they have a commitment to excellence. They are driven to serve, and yes, they are here in Nashville. Renstall offers the best technicians, the latest and greatest diagnostic equipment, and yes, they are dedicated to customer service. But for me, a lot of places say that, but, really it's how you operate your business. Words are one thing, but your actions are quite another. Renstall offers the Heroes Service Discount. That's right, the Heroes Service Discount from Renstall. Veterans, active duty military, first responders, emergency medical personnel all get a 10% discount on all repairs. And so if you are part of, the first responders and the military, the veterans' families, then you can get your European car serviced with a 10% discount from my friends at Renstall. They also offer complimentary shuttle service, free Uber rides as well, immediate appointments, and yes, a quick turnaround. Renstall, conveniently located across the street from the Academy of Country Music, 5 minutes from Music Row, 2 minutes from downtown. Call them again. They do have appointments available to fix your European vehicle, service that European vehicle as well. 615-777-7100, 615-777-7100. If you want to find out more about Renstall, check out their website, itrustmymechanic.com, itrustmymechanic.com. 5:58, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, Jay Harper, I was professing my love for newts. And apparently a newt is simply, I guess, a salamander?
Yeah.
Do you know? Did you know that?
No, I'm not up on my newts.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Whatever. I mean, you see the newts in the pet store when you go into the pet store, and they're just like waterborne lizards. I love the way that they swim. Anyway, all right, coming up, I do have and thank you, by the way, for all of the feedback on the super text line. I'm reading it, and I'm 0706 says Dan's going to be over here snuggling the newt. I'm not going to snuggle a newt, but what I am going to do is coming up after the news at 6, I'm going to play some audio from last night's Metro City Council meeting as you have all of these people from Nashville just horrified that ICE was actually doing their jobs. Stay close. It's Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is straight up 6 o'clock, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories, a weather forecast, and a traffic report. They're coming up as well. Elon Musk attacking President Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill, saying it's an abomination. Here's ABC's Christiane Cordero with more on opposition to the legislation.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who voted for the bill in the House last month, now says she did not realize the bill includes a 10-year federal ban on states regulating AI. Greene posting, "I am adamantly opposed to this, and it is a violation of state rights, and I would have voted no if I had known this was in there."
We now come back to Tennessee, where an appeals court here has revived the state legislature's effort to cut the number of Metro Council members from 40 to 20.
The goal of the General Assembly's 2023 Small Government Efficiency Act was to address what supporters said was the effectiveness of Nashville's legislative branch. However, others said it was payback after the Metro Council refused to host the 2024 Republican National Convention. According to the bill, any local governmental body with more than 20 voting members would be required to dissolve and reappropriate current districts with the latest census data. Well, Tuesday's ruling overturns a lower court's ruling last July that said the law was unconstitutional and was celebrated by Mayor Freddie O'Connell and others on the council because it kept it from going into effect. Well, now the next step could be the state Supreme Court. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. Now our market numbers report. It's brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. They are online at beaconcm.com. We've got this morning's money news, and here's Jim Ryan.
New 50% tariffs on imported steel and aluminum took effect at midnight, and analysts expect the price Americans pay for everything from soup to cars to go up. Today is also the deadline for countries to submit their own trade proposals to the White House. Despite that, stock futures were slightly higher overnight. On Tuesday, the Dow Jones gained 214 points to close at 42,519. The Nasdaq added 0.8%. The S&P enjoyed its second day of advances, rising 0.6%. Shares in Toyota plunged as much as 13% this morning as the parent to the Japanese car maker announced a $33 billion plan to take the company private. The proposal includes a tender offer of $113 per share. And Americans appear to be playing a waiting game for summer vacations. Reuters says airline bookings are down and hotel bookings are trending that way as would-be travelers hold out for better deals.
Let's look at the stock futures this morning. The Dow up 54. The S&P futures, they're up 10 1/4. And the NASDAQ futures, they're up 33 3/4. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. We have picked up a crash where somebody has run into the retaining wall, 24 westbound at the Blue Hole Road overpass. That's over on the HOV lane side, so that HOV lane is blocked. So that's going to be real fun for folks trying to get into the city on 24. Also, we have a crash, the off-ramp, the right shoulder's blocked. Frankly, I'm looking at the camera. There's just a car sitting there on the shoulder, not affecting traffic much. This is Ellington Parkway northbound, the off-ramp to the eastbound Briley Parkway. Aside from that, we're starting to see the volume build, but nothing out of the ordinary just yet. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Graduate students, seniors. 2025. This is the 10th meeting of 2020 Nashville, and we extend our condolences.
Councilmember Evan Siegel. Councilmember Berkeley Allen. Councilmember Olivia Hill.
Or deferrals.
6:07 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Such a crazy, kind of a raucous Metro City Council meeting last night.
Yeah, folks getting rowdy.
They did. And Pamela Furr was actually at the meeting.
What, was she out of control? We know how Pamela can get now.
Well, only if there's margaritas involved.
Yeah, that's true.
Totally kidding, Pamela. Totally kidding. But apparently, I'm hearing from some folks that at some point in the meeting, the mayor pro tem quoted from Anne Frank.
Yikes.
Comparing the illegals here in Nashville to what happened to the Jews? If that's true, and I'm desperately trying to find the audio, because this was like a 5-hour meeting, Jay.
Yeah, wow.
And you had all of these public comments where people were complaining about the treatment of and I'm gonna air quote this, right? The migrants.
Yeah.
Folks, they're illegal aliens. ICE was going after illegal aliens. And certainly
lawbreakers.
And certainly these illegal aliens were not being gassed. So to start quoting Anne Frank and comparing the illegal aliens to what happened to the Jews, number one, I believe that is anti-Semitic. Because what you're doing, in my opinion, is you're really trying to diminish what happened to the Jews. I mean, that is clear. And why more people don't see that is beyond me. Just like when you say, oh, Donald Trump is Hitler. No, he's not.
Yeah. I mean, Dan,
they're trying to sanitize what Adolf Hitler did. And you're trying to sanitize what happened to the Jews. It
sounds like this is just another coordinated effort. Doesn't it sound like this was some organized effort of some kind?
Oh, yeah. You had these... The public comments, and by the way, we're going to have Courtney Johnston, Metro City Council member. She's really looking forward to being on at a little after 8 o'clock this morning because she's a Metro City Council member. She's there. She is conservative. And she was up till probably past midnight dealing with all of these comments. And you're right, Jay, where there was a lot of people that came in for the public comments. And so I've got some of these comments. There was one guy, I want to play some audio for you. And again, this was last night. And Jay, you're right. It was a coordinated effort. You had all of these people come in and everybody basically said the same thing, which is, down with ICE. We support the illegal aliens.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Trent Benge. I'm a small media business owner, musician, and community advocate. And I'm also the Antioch Regional Chair for the Davidson County Democratic Party.
Okay, so he gets up. This was, by the way, the first guy up.
Gee, that explains a lot, right?
And exactly, Jay. So the conversation, the discussion turned to Council Member David Benton, who appeared with Congressman Andy Ogles. Now, this happened when I was on vacation, so I had to do a little bit of research. But David Benton, a council member, I guess, in Antioch, and he was right up there with Congressman Andy Ogles as he was calling for an investigation into Freddie O'Connell, Mayor Freddie O'Connell, over the aiding and abetting of illegal aliens. And so, you know, this guy, Benj, he just starts calling out this guy, David Benton.
Part of the diverse community that I represent includes the neighborhoods of District 28.
Can I, by the way, say this? You know how the Democrats, they like to hijack words, right? I mean, they hijacked the rainbow and they've hijacked, you know, all kinds of stuff. So now they've hijacked the word diverse or diverse. They've hijacked that word because instead of, I don't know if any of them actually used the term illegal alien. I don't know if any of them, all of these people that got up yesterday and they're crying and they're hand-wringing over all of these, air quote, migrants that were disappeared by ICE, I don't think not one of them actually used the term illegal aliens. I don't think one of them actually acknowledged the fact that a lot of these people were actually criminals other than breaking our immigration laws. They just wanted to celebrate the diversity of the community. And please don't get me wrong. Like, I'm fine with diverse communities. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But to try to talk about how the diverse community is something to be celebrated should not include illegal aliens. Those are lawbreakers and not part of what I would say would be an acceptable part of a diverse community. Immigrants, legal immigrants, people that have come into our country legally the right way, and that adds to a diverse community, I'm all for that. I'm not for illegal aliens. But again, realize this is, as Jay said, this was a coordinated effort, and I guarantee you, I don't know, I haven't watched the local news this morning, but I can almost guarantee you that you've got all of these people that are being portrayed at the Metro City Council meeting last night talking about how they want to celebrate the diversity, as opposed to acknowledging that these folks are indeed illegal aliens.
Part of the diverse community that I represent includes the neighborhoods of District 28. On Memorial Day, this district council member chose to demonize and denigrate his own constituents, the very people that he swore an oath to represent and to protect. As our neighbors, friends, and loved ones were disappeared from off our streets.
Can I ask a question? So, because he's talking about this guy, David Benton, and where in the oath does it say that members of the Metro City Council must protect illegal aliens? I must have missed that in these oaths. They're supposed to protect legal citizens of the state of Tennessee and of America. And by the way, I will point out, and I'm pretty certain that you folks have heard me say this before, but here's the deal. When you crack down on illegal aliens, then you are protecting the legal citizens of Antioch or the state of Tennessee, because guess what? Oftentimes, those illegal aliens, do you know who they're terrorizing? They're terrorizing the community that they're a part of. So, for example, if you are an illegal, well, we saw this with, who were they? The Venezuelans. Remember the story of the Venezuelans out in Colorado, where in Denver you had all of these illegal alien Venezuelan gang members. Do you know who they were terrorizing? They were terrorizing the other Venezuelans in that community. And some of them, I'm assuming, were legal here in this country. I don't know, but here's the point. If you have all of these marauding illegal alien gang members or whatever in a community, they are terrorizing the very diverse community that this dude is talking about.
from our neighborhoods, and from our churches, Councilmember David Benton chose to cozy up to a congressman under federal investigation. I have seen it firsthand. I was born, raised, and chose to build my life along the Nolensville Pike corridor. And night after night, I watched as my neighbors, my friends, people who raised me, the people that I know and love, were kidnapped as their families were torn apart and local businesses were decimated.
Doesn't Antioch have a lot of crime? Like, dudes sitting here talking about, like, Antioch is some sort of a non-crime ridden area. Antioch has a lot of crime. And that's why the ICE raids were there. And so I don't know who this guy is. I mean, he's some sort of, clearly he is a Democrat activist. He's a Democrat activist. That is part of who this guy is. All right, I've got more on this straight ahead. It is 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. Today, partly cloudy and a high of 90. Appreciate you listening. It is 70 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So we're talking about last night's Metro City Council meeting. You had all these people get up and praise the immigrant community of the city of Nashville. And I'm playing you this audio of one guy that got up. And he is pretty much emblematic of what all these people got up to talk about yesterday. And they're praising this area of Antioch like it's not crime-ridden. So I'm reasonably certain that Nolensville Pike has a lot of street racing. And doesn't it also have a lot of drugs and all that kind of stuff, too? I'm pretty certain that it does. It's also known for an abundance of illegal immigration. And isn't that where they picked up a lot of these guys that turned out to be criminals? I'm pretty sure that that's right. I mean, somebody can fact check me if they would like, but there's a total misrepresentation of the facts that happened yesterday, late last night at the Metro City Council meeting.
And the council member chose to demonize these folks as criminals and enemies, calling their presence in the district, quote, a failure, attacking his own constituents, our neighbors, our community. So to the hundreds of Nashvillians here in this chamber and outside in the mezzanine, it's here to fight for a better budget, for better leadership, and for a better city. Are you ready to organize?
Mr. Benj. Mr. Benj.
Are you ready to knock some doors?
You're speaking to the council. You're not speaking to the gallery.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, he's an activist.
Yeah. We're getting ready to talk to our neighbors. Antioch bows to no council member, to no congressman, to no king. Councilmember Benton must resign. And if he won't, we've got our work cut out for us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So there you go. That's pretty much how it went last night. By the way, you may have heard that very councilman David Benton on with Matt Murphy last week talking about his appearance with Andy Ogles.
Well, I think the noise level is pretty high for those that are against ICE. And I thought we needed a little more balance in the story because there's a lot more to that story than just kind of stomping your foot and saying we're not going to have it. And let me just say this. I support legal immigration 100%. But at the same time, we've got to uphold the law. And I think it's really cruel for us as leaders, say myself or the mayor or other leaders, including the ones at the state, I think it's cruel to lead an illegal alien along to believe that we can shield them from federal ICE enforcement. That's just not realistic.
So this guy sounds very reasonable. It is silly. We talked about this. It is silly for politicians to say that it's okay to come into our country illegally. And actually, it's just plain wrong. David Benton supports legal immigration. You just heard him. Legal immigration. He was on with Matt Murphy. And it is wrong to go against law enforcement.
And I just don't think mocking law enforcement and this is what criminals and cartels and mob bosses do. You know, they mock the law enforcement that's out there trying to do their job and play cat and mouse with them. It's not very respectful. And of course, they've got supremacy authority over us at the federal level, and then the state they're coming in with their own immigration stuff, and they have preemptive authority over us. And this is not a really good relationship to be developing with the state and federal government, especially when they hold a big purse string.
All right, so dude sounds perfectly reasonable. I don't know if he's a Republican. I don't know. Probably is, but here's the deal. He's in the crosshairs of folks on the left. Remember what was to be discussed last night, right? The mayor wants to raise the property taxes. The council wants to officially recognize, I think is it Immigrant Heritage Month? And in the process, also officially condemn the ICE raids and the arrests. And remember what they're doing, and I can't say this enough. They're conflating legal immigrants with illegal aliens. That's what they're trying to do. And so I'm going to call them out on that every single time. Coming up, by the way, at 8:06, we do have Metro Council member Courtney Johnston, and she is going to give us her perspective as well. So there is a lot to discuss, and we will, coming up on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jay Harper is in for Joe and Jones. Jay, what's coming up at 6:30?
Yeah, Dan, you had talked about this earlier this morning, but we'll have more on those 2 Chinese nationals that were arrested. We'll let you in on why. Severe weather in the Midwest. The hits just keep on coming for those folks. And the renaming of a Navy ship is drawing some controversy. We'll have those stories at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.622 on WTN. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Loan Pronto. If you're maxed out on credit cards, if you're struggling with high interest debt, you could pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. You can get cash out right now without touching your low rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, and as they like to say, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt. They renovated their kitchen. They cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That, of course, my friends, a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Now, listen, your home equity, it's yours, and so you should use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy, low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto right now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780. You can always find them online anytime. Tell them Dan Mandis showed you to reach out. LoanPronto.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781 on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Dan Mandis here. You know, my upstairs bathtub literally has holes in it. It is really ugly. It needs a lot of work. Enter my friends at Zintex, Zintex. Now, if you've got a bathtub that needs work like mine, they have been in business since 2001, and they are here to help you. They can remodel your shower. They can remodel your bathtub. They can even convert that bathtub into a walk-in shower. Now, these types of home improvements, they can really increase the value of your home, and Zintex can have it wrapped up easily and in a day. Now, Zintex is an award-winning company that offers limited lifetime warranties for both their products and, yes, the installation as well. You can make your bathroom safer with a walk-in shower complete with grab bars and a bench seat. Now, this is a great way to help the older folks in your life who need that assist and support. So fix it, remodel it, or convert your tub into a shower today with Zintex. That phone number, tell him Dan told you to reach out, 629-258-7747, 629-258-7747. A great deal going on right now. You mentioned WTN, and you get $1,750 off or no interest for 24 months, whichever works best for you, and also no payments for 24 months. Zintex.com, Zintex, Zintex.com. .628 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Also, this headline from Axios. A Tennessee appeals court has now revived state Republicans' efforts to cut the size of Nashville's 40-member Metro Council in half. Love it. I believe this comes at a great time for Republicans because, remember, it was a council member, Sandra Sepulveda, who was driving around and trying to warn the illegal aliens about the whereabouts of ICE. This is from Fox 17.
House Majority Leader William Lambert told Fox 17 News in a statement that he applauds the court's decision upholding the Government Efficiency Act, and he hopes that Nashville will accept the ruling and stop wasting taxpayer dollars. Metro Council member Joy Stiles responded to his statement saying Metro Council has a proven track record.
I'm not exactly sure who he thinks is waste. I would say that the city of Nashville is doing a really great job of making the most amount of revenue for this entire state. So while we have had a very large body, we've still gotten a lot of things done.
Now, remember, I love what she said there because this stems back from when state lawmakers got angry at Metro Nashville for their really idiotic ways, including voting not to allow the Republican National Convention to come to Nashville. Remember all of that? They were worried about the divisive rhetoric and security challenges. Then Mayor John Cooper was right there with them. So I think what we need to do is we need to get Elon Musk's chainsaw and take it to the Metro City Council. It is 6:30 on Nashville's Morning News on WTN.
Good morning. It is 6:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A traffic report and a weather forecast are coming up. 2 Chinese nationals accused of smuggling a pathogen into the United States. At least one of the suspects allegedly has ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Here's Steve Ganyard. He's with ABC News.
You had a member of the Communist Party who had a Chinese researcher working for her in a U.S. university
on a pathogen that is known to be deadly to crops and to human beings. Why were they doing it? Why did they lie?
Dozens of families in Kansas waking up in shelters this morning after extreme weather forced them from their homes. Here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
Fire department's here. We got a raft.
One of the hardest hit communities was El Dorado, about 25 miles northeast of Wichita. At an apartment complex for seniors,
I thought about staying in my apartment so I wouldn't have to be evacuated.
In the end, Judy Murray thought better of her plan.
I saw how high that water was getting, and I thought, how much higher is it going to get?
First responders in a boat took her to a Red Cross shelter.
At the Pentagon, a controversial order to rename a ship. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert.
A gay rights icon is set to be stripped of a major military honor as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth orders the Navy to rename the USNS Harvey Milk. The ship is named after the first openly gay man elected to office. Milk, who served in the Navy, joined the San Francisco Board of Supervisors before he was assassinated in 1978.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
6:32 on Nashville's Morning News. Listen, Vision for Life is celebrating 20 years of 2020. I celebrate Vision for Life because, well, as you can see on Super Talk TV, I used to wear glasses, no longer. I had my vision correction surgery courtesy of Vision for Life and Dr. Jeff Horn. Now, he's been providing thousands of patients 20/20 vision or better for years. Now, his expertise and dedication have made him a leader in cataract, LASIK, and other vision correction surgeries. Dr. Horn's commitment to providing the best possible patient experience, in addition to the most advanced technologies in vision correction, has made Vision for Life one of the premier vision correction centers in the world. Check him out. If you're thinking about vision correction surgery, you've got to check these folks out online. It is visionforlife.com, visionforlife.com. Help them celebrate 20 years of providing 20/20 vision by scheduling your free consultation today. 615-436-2020. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-436-2020, visionforlife.com. Dan Mandis here, 635 on Nashville's Morning News. I want to tell you about my friends at Window Nation. Hot weather is here, and we've got great savings for new windows from my window company, Window Nation. It is their semi-annual sale going on right now, and that does mean you can buy 4 windows, you get 4 windows free, and if you buy a whole house full of windows, you can get a free entry door. So you can save on the purchase and the install of your new windows, and you can save for years to come because Window Nation windows, they are energy efficient. As a matter of fact, they have some of the best insulated windows on the market, and their prices are a lot better than the expensive guys. Now, Window Nation has a 96% customer satisfaction rating. They've got over 45,000 5-star reviews. Now, don't forget that great deal. You buy 4 windows, you get 4 free, and you buy a whole house full of windows, you get that free entry door as well. Window Nation, call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out. 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION, windownation.com.
An injury crash reported Harding Place at Travelers Inn Drive, and that is causing some considerable congestion in that area. Also, 24 westbound at the Blue Hole Road overpass, that was blocking the HOV lane. Now they pushed it over to the shoulder, but boy, we still have got quite a bit of volume stacked up behind it. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.637 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, Brian Wilson is going to be in studio coming up in the 7 o'clock hour here on WTN for our weekly visit. I don't know, is Jay in there?
Yeah, I'm in here, and I said hi to Brian this morning. It was great seeing him. I haven't seen him in a while.
He's a lot skinnier.
Yeah,
I gotta find out what
noticed
Brian's
that.
doing.
Yes,
but anyway, so
yes.
0396 says this. Watch Channel 2 and 5 this morning. They both did mention that hit and run downtown of the 21-year-old Florida man, but neither station, they say, mentioned that the driver was in our country illegally.
Right. Well, we've been mentioning that they're here illegally. Venezuelan illegal
Venezuelan
immigrant. Yeah, that's been in our newscast. Matter of fact, I've got that story at the top of the hour.
People are laughing at yours truly, actually, Jay.
Oh,
which is
fancy that.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
Ken says, and this is a quote, right? He's got me in quotes. Doesn't Antioch have a lot of crime? He says, this is the funniest thing you've ever said, Dan. Well done. I mean, Antioch is crime-ridden, right?
Yeah, you know, when I first moved to town, 1985, I lived in Antioch, and it was fine, you know. But boy, you know, that's back when Hickory Hollow Mall was thriving, and you know, things were just different. And boy, sadly, that community has taken it on the chin.
Wasn't Antioch where? Oh gosh, wasn't Antioch where they had the brothel? Remember that whole thing where there was they called it a brothel. I mean, you had all these dudes. I want to say they were from Venezuela, and I think that was in Antioch.
Yeah, could have been. I don't recall.
You had all these, you know, women of ill repute.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Democrats.
And they were, you know, they were in there doing their ill repute things with men, and they were basically, I mean, some people say that they were sex trafficked. I have no idea, probably.
Right.
But I mean, that was in Antioch. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of crime. I believe that was in Antioch. So, Jay, check me on that. I'm positive it was in Antioch. But anyway, whatever. So, I think that the guy I was playing, if you're just joining us, what I just said makes absolutely no sense. I was playing audio from a guy at last night's Metro City Council meeting, and he was, you know, praising Antioch and, you know, how it's such a fantastically wonderful community. And it's like,
Garden of Eden. I mean, just... Yeah.
Is that why everybody wants to move out of Antioch?
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing some folks on the Super Text line saying that very thing. Grew up in Antioch and had to get out of there.
Had to flee.
Right.
Had to flee Antioch. All right. Thank you, Jay.
Yes, sir.
Let's see here. The Boulder terror attack investigation, that does continue. The entire family of terrorist Mohammed Solomon, they have now been taken into ICE custody. I don't know, Jay, if you've seen... The Trump administration was actually saying that they could be deported as early as this morning. So y'all know the story. We've all been talking about this. Mohammed Solomon, the attacker, he's got a wife and 5 children. All of now, they are facing expedited removal from the United States. White House saying in a post on X, the 6 family members are right now apparently being held in Florence, Colorado. Remember, this happened in Boulder. As of late Tuesday, last night, a law enforcement source said immigration officials plan to transfer the detained family members to an immigration detention facility in Texas as they await final expulsion proceedings. It does remain unclear in which country the family would be deported to. Again, the White House saying that they could be deported as early as tonight, being last night. I have not seen anything about that as of yet. The State Department also revoked the visas of Solomon's wife and children following the attack, according to a DHS official. Now, they do say that the family is cooperating with the investigation. By the way, if your head has been in the sand for the last several days, this is the terrorist. He lived in Kuwait for 17 years. He overstayed his visa, and he is basically here illegally, was here illegally under Joe Biden. And so he then took it upon himself to take a bunch of Molotov cocktails and a flamethrower to a bunch of, I'm assuming Jewish folks, or at least supporters of Israel, who were calling for the release of the hostages that Hamas is holding. And he says that he would do it again.
You know, Dan, and he said that he had been planning a year for this attack.
Yep.
And was waiting. One of the things he was waiting on was for his daughter to graduate high school.
Yep.
And I've seen, perhaps you've seen it as well, Dan, you know, his daughter, a pretty young lady, graduating from high school with honors. And, so it kind of stinks for... for his family. But okay, so he came over here on some kind of work visa or something, and it expired.
And he worked for like 3 months, and then he left.
Yeah,
it was an accounting job.
How do you get your family all over here like that on a work visa? I mean, don't they have to get some kind of visa, or did he sneak them in? I mean, I'm kind of puzzled how that works.
Well, they are all effectively illegal. I mean, they're all of their visas apparently are expired. So, great points. And how was he, if he worked for only 3 months in the 2 years, I think it was 2 years, Jay, that he lived here, the Solomon guy. So if he was here for a couple of years, but he only worked for 3 months, how was he making money? That's another, great question.
Yeah, again, he had posted all these social media praises of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yep.
I mean, is he being supported by somebody?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We all know that there are organizations out there that do support terrorists, and it's like your instructions will come. And so they say that on the night of the attack, the FBI executed a search warrant on the family's Colorado Springs home, which, by the way, I lived in Colorado Springs. It ain't cheap out there, friends. The family was, they say, cooperative during the search. Do you believe, Jay, can I ask you a question? And folks on the super text line, you can chime in too. Do you believe that the family had no idea that this guy was going to go to a walk or a run that was supporting Israel? Do you think the family had no idea that this guy was going to take Molotov cocktails and a flamethrower and try to light people on fire? Do you believe that the family did not know that? What do you think?
I could see that perhaps the children were not aware, but the wife, absolutely. I think the wife probably was quite aware of his intentions, but
terrorist proclivities.
Yeah, I mean, you see these stories. I watched too much Investigation Discovery, perhaps, but, you've got stories about mafia hitmen that have been hitmen for 20 years, and the kids had no idea. So I could see that the children were perhaps unaware, but the wife, I have to think she was aware of what he was up to.
So here's my opinion. Is if you are running a home, if you are the patriarch, if you're the patriarch of a home, if you are the leader of the home, and you are so incredibly anti-Israel and anti-America that you are going to try to light people on fire, then you are also more than likely trying to pass that anti-Semitism,
True,
the terroristic tendencies to your children.
Yeah, perhaps.
Now, maybe not the daughter. Maybe not the daughter.
I can certainly agree with you in indoctrinating the kids to that type of mindset, but being aware of his planning of this specific incident,
right.
I don't know that the kids would be hip to that.
Fair. It's 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN. .46 on Nashville's Morning News. As far as your weather for today, partly cloudy and a high of 90. Thanks for listening to Nashville's Morning News. Just kind of talking about the very latest in the Boulder terror attack. The investigation there does continue. On the night of the attack, the FBI executed a search warrant on the family's Colorado Springs home. The family, they say, and Jay and I were just talking about this, the family was cooperative during the search, the FBI said on Monday, but they still have a lot of work to go. And they do also, the FBI is saying that the family ultimately is going to be deported.
They're known visas overstays. They're illegally present here in the United States. They filed for asylum just like Soleiman did, and it's a fake asylum claim. How do we know that? Because ideologically, he remained and is a threat to the United States in that he had genocidal tendencies posed as anti-Semitic threats, and he effectuated a terrorist attack here in the United States. Therefore, the family will have an expedited removal and a ticket back home where they belong.
That is Fox analyst Esther Valdez-Clayton. There's a lot of folks who do believe that the family should not be deported, which, I mean, I'm just going to tell you, to me, that is nuts. But those folks are out there. But they do say that because of the cooperation, they should be allowed to stay. Now, I got this from various news outlets. Solomon's wife brought her husband's iPhone to the Colorado Springs police following his arrest, according to a federal affidavit. The family's arrest threatens to derail, they say, what looked to be a promising academic career for Solomon's oldest daughter, who, as we're talking about, did graduate days before her father's attack and had recently won a Best and Brightest scholarship from the Colorado Springs Gazette. In her scholarship application, Habiba Solomon wrote that her family's move from Kuwait to the U.S. provided a chance for her to fulfill her dream of pursuing medical school, according to the Colorado Springs Gazette. She also wrote about her work as a volunteer in a local hospital and about how overcoming her initial difficulties after moving to the U.S. 2 years ago. One of her teachers actually praised the terrorist daughter for becoming fluent in English in just that short amount of time, and that she soon emerged as a leader in the classroom. You know what that really does tell you as well? What that also tells you is that here is this terrorist following the Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas-loving, Israel-hating, America-hating, I'm assuming, and his hatred for Israel, his hatred for America, his love of Hamas was actually more powerful than his love for his daughter. That's really sad. But that tells you the kinds of people that we're dealing with when they're out there, protesting Israel and shouting Free Palestine. That's the kind of insanity that these people, to me, represent when you are going to allow your entire family to be deported back to wherever they're going to go. But what he did was he chose terrorism and Free Palestine, air quoting, Free Palestine, that dog whistle that we've all been talking about, Free Palestine, he chose that over his own children.
He had to know that his actions would result in this very thing.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Jay.
But, let's face it, you've got so many folks in that Muslim world that, you've got fathers that have had their daughters killed because they didn't live up to some ancient tradition of marrying who they were supposed, that kind of stuff.
Women getting stoned after being raped.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go on and on, but I'm not going to right now. But Victor Avila is a retired ICE agent. He's actually very famous in the ICE world. He's a retired ICE agent, and he talks about the threats going on in our country right now and why he also supports that family being deported.
And the problem here is that we're finding out too late after these individuals commit the crime, and we can't get them out of here fast enough and identify them, especially the known 2 million gotaways. And that's a concern. Imagine the unknown gotaways that are in that category that we have no idea how they came into this country. So there's a lot of work to be done there.
Yeah, there is a lot of work to be done there. By the way, coming up before the news with Jay Harper, I've actually got a story, an incredible story, a video. I cannot wait to play this audio for you. There is, for whatever reason, this controversy over ICE agents wearing masks. I've got proof positive reasons why ICE agents should be wearing masks, and that part of the story is coming up next at 6:52. Jay Harper has the news at 7. Jay.
VP Vance and Secretary of State Rubio, they're calling for rebuilding America's industrial base. They were at an event last night. We'll have that story. Also, a hit-and-run driver in Nashville is allegedly an illegal immigrant. We'll also have this morning's money news. That's coming up at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So why are ICE agents wearing masks? It is 6:57 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 at WTN. Well, here's some audio, clear evidence as to why ICE agents, despite the hand-wringing of Democrats, why are ICE agents wearing masks?
We'll start fighting back, and then what y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna shoot every American? When we start fighting back, what y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna shoot Americans then? Because that's what we gonna start doing. We're gonna start fighting back. God shame, all y'all should put a bullet in y'all heads.
Wow.
Doing Trump's work. Every single one of y'all put a bullet in your head. Yeah, I said it. What?
So I said it what? Well, you know what? The guy should be, to be honest, arrested for threatening ICE agents. But see, this is why their work is so dangerous. And this is why it is so dangerous that our moronic mayor, when he, of course, doxed the ICE agents here in Nashville, and that is why they have to be wearing masks. Now, remember yesterday, I played this audio. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons was asked about his agents wearing masks.
So a lot of agencies were invited to come out 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles where we ran an operation where ICE officers were doxxed. So let's just say that again. People are out there taking photos of the names, their faces, and posting them online with death threats to their family and themselves. So I'm sorry if people are offended by them wearing masks, but I'm not going to let my officers and agents go out there and put their lives on the line and their family on the line because people don't like what immigration enforcement is. They are wearing those masks because we ran an operation with the Secret Service where we arrested someone that was going online, taking their photos, posting their families, their kids' Instagram, their kids' Facebooks, and targeting them. So let me ask, is that the issue here, that we're just upset about the masks? Or is anyone upset with the fact that ICE officers' families were labeled terrorists?
Absolutely right. It is 7 o'clock. Brian Wilson is coming up next here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's straight up 7 o'clock, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories, a weather forecast, a traffic report. I've got them both coming up. Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Tuesday in D.C. issuing strong calls to rebuild America's industrial base during remarks at the American Compass 5th Anniversary Gala. Rubio warning that decades of declining industrial capacity have weakened both the U.S. economy and its global standing, saying that national interest must once again take priority in trade and foreign policy decisions.
We allowed nations to treat us unfairly in trade, but we allowed them to do it because we didn't want those countries to become victim to a communist revolution that would overthrow them. But then we kept it going. And so today there are multiple countries around the world that are fully developed economies, but whom we have enormous trade imbalances because they want to continue that system moving along, and that has to be corrected.
Back here in Nashville, Metro Police say an illegal immigrant is the prime suspect from a May 18th hit and run. They say federal partners, including Homeland Security investigations, are helping to find 32-year-old Venezuelan national Tony Lopez Infante. Meanwhile, Zachary Karash is still in the hospital. His mom tells Channel 4.
I haven't left the hospital once, so I haven't been home in 19 days because we went on the little trip and then this happened. And he's fully dependent on other people right now. He is fully non-weight bearing. He's bound to a wheelchair. So, I mean, even simple things that you take for granted, like just being able to go to the bathroom on your own, you know, the stuff that he cannot do right now.
We've got the market numbers report for you now. It's brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. You can find them online at beaconcm.com. With this morning's money news, here's Jim Ryan.
New 50% tariffs on imported steel and aluminum took effect at midnight, and analysts expect the price Americans pay for everything from soup to cars to go up. Today is also the deadline for countries to submit their own trade proposals to the White House. Despite that, stock futures were slightly higher overnight. On Tuesday, the Dow Jones gained 214 points to close at 42,519. The Nasdaq added 0.8%. The S&P enjoyed its second day of advances, rising 0.6%. Shares in Toyota plunged as much as 13% this morning as the parent to the Japanese car maker announced a $33 billion plan to take the company private. The proposal includes a tender offer of $113 per share. And Americans appear to be playing a waiting game for summer vacations. Reuters says airline bookings are down and hotel bookings are trending that way as would-be travelers hold out for better deals.
Let's go ahead and look at your stock futures for this morning. The Dow is up 73, the S&P up 12 3/4, the Nasdaq up 48. That's the latest news, traffic, weather. They're next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Near the Nashville Zoo, Nolensville Road is just stacked up. It's a mess, and part of the road is closed there between McNally Drive and Wheeler Avenue, and police are apparently in that area. Some drivers are reporting that they're working on the road there, but just be aware, whatever the reason, the traffic on Nolensville Road near the zoo is pretty much at a standstill. Out in Bellevue, 40 eastbound before exit 196. The right lane's blocked there due to a crash. Traffic's backed up all the way to McCrory Lane. So those are the two biggest issues here this morning. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
7:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in, and Jay Harper's here filling in for Joan Jones. Louie is training. Thank you, Louie, doing a great job. I call Louie. Yes. Okay. Brian Wilson's here as well. Hey, Brian.
Hey, what's going on, Dano?
How
was your vacation?
It was fantastic. I drank a lot of rum. Do you like rum?
I love fruity rum drinks.
Listen, if it had an umbrella, I was all over it.
Let me say that this is a thing in my family, and that when we go out to eat, somebody says, "We gonna get a cocktail?" Yeah, and I like the fruity rum drinks.
Yeah,
I do. I've always liked them. I have a sweet tooth anyway, and my wife will get like an old fashioned. And invariably, they will come and try to give me the old-fashioned and give her the fruity drink. And then there's that awkward moment where, no, we have that backwards.
Amy and I have the same dynamic.
Yeah, I know.
She's getting like a Jack and Coke.
Yeah.
And I'm getting, some sort of a rum-based kind of a thing. Yeah. So, or she's getting, margaritas. I happen to know that you like margaritas.
I do.
So
we have a margarita machine at the pool.
I did tell Amy, because by the last couple of days, man, I was like done drinking.
Yeah.
So I just got a Coke, but I told Amy, listen, if anybody asks, it's a Jack and Coke. So there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, Wilson Wednesday is brought to you by the Wellness Institute of Nashville.
Thank you for that.
All right, real quick.
By the way, I just want to say it's really great to share the stage here and be on the radio with a well-known newt snuggler.
Do you know what a newt is?
I know what a newt is.
Not Newt Gingrich, trust me.
Yeah.
No human wants me snuggling them, sadly. But do you know what newts are?
Yeah.
I guess they're salamanders.
Right.
Have you ever seen them, like, swim?
Yeah, they're adorable.
They're adorable,
thing,
and they, like, swim like they're muscular.
I just got to say, Dan, this is a little strange.
All right,
Most people, and by the way, as long as we're on the topic of animals very quickly,
yes.
I just want to say that I've checked around, and most of the people that I've conferred with in bucolic Watertown believe that we should be a sanctuary city for zebras.
Okay.
So the zebra is welcome in Watertown.
I've been calling for a free the zebra.
Free zebra zone.
I mean, he has well earned his freedom.
Isn't this a great story? And as far as I know, I saw something last night posted that they'd been in touch with the sheriff's office, and they said the zebra is still at large.
So I believe that it could actually, it could be anywhere at this point. I mean, it could certainly be in Lebanon.
Yeah.
And what I need you to do is I need you to take, what is it you call your vehicle there?
Oh, the red, what do we call it? The Red Radio Racer?
The Red Radio Racer. I need you to just get in the Red Radio Racer.
Red Radio Flyer.
Red Radio Flyer. And I need you to just drive around and see if you can find
the zebra. And do some live remotes from the that'd be
yes,
good.
Yes. And also, whatever you do, don't try to snuggle the zebra. Did you know that zebras were actually very mean?
I've heard that.
Yeah, they're very
Ken
mean.
Weaver believes this to be true.
That the zebras are mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they are, and Grok believes it's mean too.
Okay.
All right, very quickly.
Okay, we got a lot of stuff to cover.
We do. Ukraine drone attacks.
Yeah.
Now, and I've done a couple of interviews on this fascinating story. So,
well, first of all, it's an amazing thing that they pulled off.
Yes,
getting into Russia and with a bunch of pickup trucks that had drones and then carrying out these attacks.
Can you imagine the drivers?
I know, always looking over your shoulder, and then you carry out these surprise attacks with drones that take out 40. I mean, the cost of 40 drones in the grand scheme of things, not that much. When you talk about the aircraft they destroyed, some 40 aircraft we're talking about, this is a good portion of Vladimir Putin's Air Force.
Millions
and millions and millions and billions of dollars, probably rubles, I suppose. But they are hit hard. And then the question becomes, okay, well, this was very interesting and a bold move by Ukraine, and set that aside for a moment and think about America. And how many people are in this country that we don't know anything about?
Yep.
And they could come in here and carry out a very similar operation, and we would be not prepared for it.
We're clearly not prepared.
We're not prepared for it. Donald Trump knows this. Yesterday at the White House, there was some talk about some things that he was going to say on this topic, and I think he wants to address in ways that we can prepare for a different kind of warfare. I mean, this is asymmetrical warfare. It's very different, and we just aren't prepared for it. And we could lose a lot of stuff if somebody were to be as clever as the Ukrainians were, and deploying this drone technology. And it's something that I've been saying this from day one. We don't know who's here. We don't know what they're up to. But if they were to pull off something like that, it would be like it would be as bad as the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, it would. And you have no real way to, number one, prevent it, as far as I can tell.
Well, there is technology, but we don't have it deployed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And number two, that if it does happen, then how do you find the perpetrator?
Yeah.
That's number two.
How do you track down who's flying the drone? Remember when all the drones were coming in and they were trying to figure out who was flying? They could never figure it out.
They never did,
because they could never find out where the people who were flying the drones were located.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another thing.
Do you think the Ukraine-Russia war, do you think this has changed the trajectory of the war?
Well, I think, listen, anytime that there's a war, there's another thing that goes on, and that is we study their response. We study how the Russians have responded. We study so we learn about them from studying them. So we know a lot about the Russians. But I find it very interesting if you look at, and this is something that I heard in Washington even when I was still there, that the thing that they're most concerned about is not the Russians but the Chinese.
Yeah.
And what are the Chinese up to? The statement from Pete Hegseth when he was overseas, again at an Asian meeting, he was talking all about China and the concern and how there might, something might even be imminent.
Yep.
Well, that's going to be a bad day for the world when that happens.
Well, and we all know in the news today, I spoke about it in the 5 o'clock hour, that United States, this is a headline from the Associated Press, says it broke up efforts to bring toxic fungus to a Michigan lab from China. I mean, this is terrifying.
It is scary.
And I don't know. There are still people who are apologists for China. And, we get all that fentanyl that comes across our southern border, courtesy of China. Now this, of course, we could go down the road of COVID. But, I mean, it is shocking to me that there are still people who believes that China is not a sheer, serious enemy of our country.
Having been to China a couple of times, I find the Chinese people to be lovely. I find the government of China to be terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
7:15, coming up, the big, beautiful bill. Is it beautiful or is it ugly? More with Brian Wilson coming up. Time to check the roads on WTN. At 7:16, as far as your weather today, partly cloudy, a high of 90. 67 now at WTN. Brian Wilson is joining us here in studio on WTN. All right, everybody's talking about the big, beautiful bill. In your opinion, is it beautiful or is it ugly?
Well, I'm really conflicted about this because I think that they make great progress, and they sent over from the House to the Senate. Not a bad measure. There are a lot of good things in there. I always take pause when I hear people like Rand Paul, who say, there's just not enough cuts here. This is a rounding error. We could do better. I hear Ron Johnson saying the same thing. And then I hear the speaker say, it was a heavy lift to get this passed. This is the best we can do, given, my constraints over here where the votes are very narrow, and this is what we can pass.
Yeah.
And so he's asking the Senate not to do much. Here's the thing that I think is countervailing and not getting enough attention, and that is there are counterbalancing measures and efforts that the Trump administration is taking that seem to be working. I mean, for example, inflation. We were told, here comes inflation. You get ready because here's going to be the inflation when all of this tariff stuff kicks in. Haven't been there. Nope. It's been completely manageable. And then the news about from the Atlanta Fed that they predict that GDP is up in the second quarter The second quarter, what, 4.6%, on track for like a 6% GDP growth this year?
That's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the economy, as I've always said, if you get out of the way and get government out of the way and let the free enterprise system do what it does, it will take care of itself. So low gas prices, we're cutting spending, we're getting billions into the Treasury through the tariffs. All of those things are countervailing forces. Now, at the end of the day, do I want as many cuts as we can get? Yes. But I also, having been somebody who walked those hallways on Capitol Hill for a lot of years, understand that politics is the art of the possible, and you've got to get what you can get today. I've never been a 100%er. Yeah, you got to have it all or nothing. Yep. I've never been that guy. I always say, like Ronald Reagan did, if you get 70% of what you want, take it. And go and run with it, and then live to fight another day. That's always been my philosophy. So I guess I'm more toward it being a big, beautiful bill. But I am paying attention to voices like Rand Paul.
Is it typical, normal, that you have one side that says that it will add to the deficit, it'll add to the debt, and another side that says it'll lower the deficit and lower the debt?
Well,
because you've got two competing, completely opposite
and
arguments.
here's where that's at. I mean, there's a little thing called the Congressional Budget Office, and they do scoring on this kind of stuff, but they don't do dynamic scoring. And dynamic scoring takes into consideration those counterbalancing measures and takes those into account. CBO doesn't do that. So, the CBO numbers, I think when the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, says, well, the CBO numbers are what the CBO numbers are, but they don't consider these other factors at play, which we have evidence is actually working. Mm-hmm. So, I kind of think that it's a pretty good bill as far as it goes. I wish it would go a little further, perhaps, but I'm not at all unhappy about this. And we're going to grow our way. The economy is going to grow its way out of the problems that we have, and I believe that to be true. CBO doesn't look at that at all, and that's why there are these two very diverse opinions.
Yeah, and I've always said that economic numbers and these kinds of things, and you may be able to relate to this, they're kind of like radio ratings. You can make a story out of anything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, I'm like you, very conflicted about it. When Rand Paul does come out, because he's like, one of those people that I always look to.
Yeah.
And
he's been right about so much.
He absolutely has.
He's a thoughtful guy.
Real quickly, I know last week there was a lot of talk about what was happening with the mayor, and this actually obviously broke several weeks ago.
Right.
The mayor doxing the ICE agents and so forth. I don't know, man. Where are you at with all of this? Do you really think that the mayor will face the ire of the Department of Justice?
Well, I don't know. I think it's interesting what Tom Homan said is that if you want to be against us, then we'll just flood. The quote was, flood the zone. We'll bring in the DEA. We'll bring in the FBI. We'll bring in the ATF. We'll bring in ICE. We'll bring in everybody that we can bring in, and we will flood the zone if you're not going to cooperate with us. The thing about it is you can't have a sanctuary city in the state of Tennessee. It's against the law.
It's against the law.
So what I feel is going on here is it feels like that we have a sanctuary city. They just won't call it a sanctuary city. And the fact of the matter is that people who are in this country illegally are getting a lot of help from someplace. Is it the government or is it the non-governmental organizations that the city works with? I think these are all really fair questions.
Well, I mean, you wrote a piece, and I don't know if you talked about it last week, but where you've got these non-governmental organizations or whatever you want to call them, these activist groups, and they are getting federal funding
that was handed to them through grants that were handed to them by the city.
Yeah, and they can't even track where the money went or how it was spent.
And there's also an office within the mayor's office called the director. There's a person called the Director of New Americans, but the organization is called the Mayor's Office on New and Indigenous Americans. And there's a full-time employee, makes about $111,000 a year, who works in the mayor's office. And I asked them, I said, who does this person report to? Does this person report to the mayor? And I got the answer back. This person has no direct reports. So there's somebody in the mayor's office who is working with the immigrant population and this group called the Mayor's Office of New and Indigenous Americans, who makes $111,000 a year, who, according to the city of Nashville, reports to no one.
Then why do they call it the mayor's office of?
Do you not?
That is insanity.
And the budget comes through the mayor's office budget, but there's no breakout. We don't know how much money is actually spent on this effort.
How can you have a government job, a city job, with no accountability? Of course,
I just thought it was shocking that their position was, this person works in the mayor's office. Yeah. Budget comes from the mayor's office, $111,000 and change a year. And she reports to no one.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
We ought to try to get her on one of the shows.
Mm-hmm. Her name's Jackie Gomez.
Jackie Gomez. I'm sure that she'll come on Nashville's Morning News.
Yeah.
Brian, thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
And you're going to do something interesting later today. You want to talk about it?
Well, I'm just going to. I have some friends who reached out to me, knowing of my love of music, and asked me if I wanted a tour of their studio. I'm going over to, as soon as I leave here, right over to Blackbird Studio, which
sounds so cool.
Apparently everybody in the world in this town has apparently at one time or another recorded in Blackbird Studios. So
well,
I'm really anxious because I love that kind of stuff. And
I do too.
I have my little home studio, and I always learn stuff when I go to see the big boys and how they do it.
All right, man. We'll have fun.
Yeah,
Brian Wilson, Wednesdays with
Good to see you, Dano.
Good to see you as well. Brought to you, of course, by your friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Jay Harper is got the newscast at 7:30. Jay.
Yes, sir, Dan. A hit-and-run driver here in Nashville, allegedly an illegal immigrant. Also, U.S. military recruitment on the upswing. And a Rutherford County ADA has been arrested. We'll fill you in on all of that at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mandis here. Summer, of course, is approaching, and you want to be active. You want to go out. You want to have fun. But if you're sidelined with chronic back, neck, and knee pain, you've got to go to my guy, Dr. Kevin Mitchell at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. He's helped so many people across Middle Tennessee. He can help you as well. Now, they are experts in spinal decompression therapy. It does work. No pills, no surgery, no injections. Right now, a great deal for the month of June. Listen to this. They charged Donald Trump with 34 felonies and not one of them stuck. But at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, we're going to turn that 34 into something positive. It is the presidential special. For just $34, you can get your initial consultation, x-rays, and that very first treatment again for just $34. That gets you on your road to a healthier and more active life. I'm Dan Mandis, and the Wellness Institute of Nashville has my seal of approval on this presidential special that could change your life. Call them. Tell them I told you to reach out. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. Painisbad.com. 727, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. I want to tell you about my friends at My Cabinet Solution, mycabinetsolution.com. Tony and all the crew there at Cabinet Solutions, they came out to the house. This was earlier this week. I want to say it was Monday. They came out and they finally installed my new cabinets in my upstairs bathroom. It looks amazing. Now, they came in, they were on time. They left, and the house wasn't a complete and utter disaster. And by the way, you can see the photos of my new bathroom, courtesy of Cabinet Solutions, on my show Facebook page, Dan Manda Show. They look great, and they delivered and installed not only the cabinets, but also the hardware as well. They also set me up with an outstanding countertop. I mean, really, it was turnkey. And the thing I like about Cabinet Solution is that they've got cabinets, they also have flooring, they've got closets too, and they've got product for any budget. They've got a great selection as well. So check them out, Cabinet Solutions. The website is mycabinetsolution.com. If you're renovating a bathroom, if you're renovating a kitchen and you need some cabinets, Cabinet Solutions, this is the place you want to go. Find them online. Find Tony there online as well at the website. It's My Cabinet Solution, no S, mycabinetsolution.com. That's mycabinetsolution.com.
Good morning. It's 7:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got a steamy and wet forecast and a traffic report coming up. Metro Police, they say an illegal immigrant from Venezuela was the driver in a May 18th hit and run that seriously injured a 21-year-old man who was out celebrating his birthday with family. Channel 4's Lydia Fielder says that 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles, he's commenting while the federal investigation he pushed for plays out.
Ogles wrote here in this social media post that Mayor O'Connell is more focused on obstructing federal immigration enforcement than he is on protecting the people of the city. For the last couple of weeks, Ogles has pushed for more answers after the mayor requested the names and charges against the people arrested by ICE. Now, in that process, the mayor signed an executive order, and through that, the names of some ICE agents involved in arrests were made public. The mayor says that was never the intention and that their names were immediately taken down from online.
The Trump administration's been working to reestablish what it calls the warrior culture of the U.S. military. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert.
The Pentagon says the new campaign is working. For the first time in more than a decade, the Army has now met its recruitment goals, months ahead of schedule. But previous changes made to recruiting methods may get more of the credit, including a new program for recruits who don't make the cut.
An assistant district attorney, he's facing charges after he allegedly assaulted a woman multiple times in Rutherford County. That's according to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. The TBI reports that on Tuesday, agents began investigating allegations of domestic and aggravated assault. Assistant District Attorney Quinn Rodriguez was determined to have assaulted a woman, according to the TBI. Rodriguez allegedly brandished a gun and threatened to kill the woman and hit her with a weapon during one of the reported assaults. Agents have arrested the ADA on charges of domestic and aggravated assault, and that was done yesterday. He's been booked into the Rutherford County Jail on a $10,000 bond. That's the latest news. Weather and traffic are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Thank you, Jay. By the way, there's big news about In-N-Out Burger. Did you report that?
No, but I did see the story.
Don't say it.
Nope,
Don't say it.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about that coming up
All
next.
right. Take a lock.
What? Take a lock?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
All in the family fans will know what that means.
Take a lock. Okay.
Tick a lock.
Tick a lock.
Yeah, that means shut your face. Means,
all right. Thank you, Jay.
I'm ticking a lock.
Shut your face unless you're going to eat an In-N-Out burger. Then it's okay to.
All right.
Right along. Mark Spain Real Estate. Listen, the guaranteed offer for Mark Spain Real Estate. It is the easiest way to sell your home. You can save time, make the most money, eliminate all the hassle this summer. So again, Dan Mandis here. You know, I always recommend Mark Spain Real Estate to my friends here in Middle Tennessee because I trust that they will sell their homes hassle-free with an all-cash offer, a strong all-cash offer. In fact, let me tell you something about Mark Spain Real Estate. They have been ranked on the Inc. 5000 list of the fastest-growing companies in America for the 8th year in a row. Now, they respond fast, and they are one of the most experienced real estate teams here in Nashville. Now, they sell more than 37 homes a day, making them the most experienced real estate team in America. You can trust them to sell your home hassle-free with the strongest cash offer in the industry. Yes, that is part of that guaranteed offer. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. If you want to get out of your home fast, it's Mark Spain Real Estate, 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD. Find them online anytime, markspain.com.
Yes, the section of Nolensville Pike there near the zoo, it is still closed down between McNally Drive and Wheeler Avenue, and we've been getting tips that there's a water main break there that's causing that to be shut down. Out in Bellevue, I-40 eastbound just before Highway 70S, that's exit 196. The crash is cleared, but boy, the backup isn't. It's still pretty hairy out there. And we also have a traffic light that's flashing up in Clarksville that's causing a snag. Main Street at Fry Street, they had a power outage there, and the traffic lights have not reset yet. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.38 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, thanks a lot, Jay. I'm getting all kinds of hatred from people saying, oh, Dan, you're Californian.
Yeah, okay.
Of course you don't know what Tick-a-lock means.
Well, you brought that on yourself, that whole California thing. But, you were smart enough to get out of there, though.
I was smart enough to get out. Now, a couple of things. Lindsay is checking in on the Super Text line, and she says that there is some a-hole. Sorry, I can say that, right? On the YouTube chat, a guy named Eric the Great. He's been talking about, and I would say that if this is what Eric the Great is saying, he's not so great. But Eric has been rambling about hating America for 5 minutes now, insulting God and apparently her personally as well. So I'm gonna mosey on over to the YouTube chat and see if Eric the Not So Great is worth banning. I don't typically like to ban people, but if they're being abusive, then
that's one thing.
No YouTube chat for you. That's a Seinfeld reference. In-N-Out is coming to the Rivergate Mall. That is the big story. This is the headline from Fox 17. It came out yesterday. New In-N-Out Burger location has been revealed for Middle Tennessee, and it is going to be at the Rivergate Mall. Is there anything left at the Rivergate Mall?
Well,
I don't even know.
Yeah, from my understanding, I think one of the anchor stores is still open, but they are supposed to redevelop that mall, as many of the malls built in the 70s and 80s have done across the country. They've opened them up. They have what they call demalled them by putting outdoor entrances and kind of making it an outdoor type of village concept.
Sure.
Much as the mall there in Murfreesboro has done a number of years ago.
Apparently, the committee has approved a couple of resolutions for the burger chain to come to Rivergate Mall, including a $300,000 donation as a contribution. I love In-N-Out. The committee also approved some sewer main modifications. Let's see here. Demolition of the current Rivergate Mall structure is set to begin later this summer, but there's no word on the exact timeline for the In-N-Out burger. Can't be soon enough would be the timeline. Although I don't think that would not be my In-N-Out burger of choice, because they are opening one in Mount Juliet.
Right.
Is it Golden Bear? Is that what they call it? Golden Bear Parkway? Is that what they call it in Mount Juliet? Whatever. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to this. Also, I don't know if Jay. When I think of Jay Harper, I really do think of a Post Malone fan.
I'm neutral on the guy.
Well, apparently, Post Malone, he's opening up a bar in Nashville on Broadway.
Another one. Yeah, boy, we need another one of those. Yeah.
You know what? This sounds really cool, actually. I just started going to these things. Ken Weaver and his lovely wife and my lovely wife and I, we went to Blake Shelton's Old Red.
Yeah, right.
And
Okay.
we hung out up there, and it was so incredibly cool. And so I'm gonna do that even more because it was just so much fun. And I happen to be a big fan of Post Malone, so I'm going to go to his bar too.
Okay, cool. Well, I guess, the invitation for my lovely bride and I just kind of, I must have missed the email invite to your gathering.
One was never sent.
Okay, that explains a lot.
Actually, it was kind of funny, not to belabor this point, but Amy and I were going to the bar, and then Ken and Jen, his lovely bride, they were going to be in Nashville for a concert, and so we were literally going to Nashville at the same time. And that's what happened.
That makes perfect sense.
The new Post Malone bar will be at 305 Broadway, right next to Jason Aldean's Kitchen and Rooftop Bar. You got a favorite rooftop bar? Mine, I've been to two. I've been to Morgan Wallen's and I've been to Blake Shelton's. Do you have a favorite, Jay?
I have been to the one Miranda Lambert played, and that's okay. Of course, I felt like I was the oldest guy in there, and I probably was, but still had a nice
Do you know
time.
what I noticed? And Louis is a big fan of these rooftop bars. Matter of fact, what did you tell me off the air, Louis, about rooftop bars?
I haven't been to any rooftop bars here in Nashville yet, but I'm from St. Louis, so every rooftop bar in St. Louis, I've been to.
You said that rooftop bars are your vibe.
Yeah, that's
is what he said.
I like the aesthetic of them better than the actual bar.
Yeah, I do too. And okay, so here's my question: in St. Louis, Louis, are the people that go to these bars younger? Because I would actually very respectfully disagree with Jay Harper, because when I went to Old Red by Blake Shelton, Blake Shelton's place, believe it or not, I was actually not the oldest one there. It was a very adult place. But I think that, speaking for myself, I believe that there is a difference between the nighttime rooftop bars and the daytime rooftop bars.
Oh, yeah.
Because when my lovely bride and I went to those two places, Morgan Wallen's and also Luke Bryan's, or not Luke Bryan's, whatever, Blake Shelton, they all sound the same to me. But they, just kidding. But, I mean, daytime. And got a lot of very chill atmosphere. And I loved it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Jay, if you decide you want to go to one of these places, if you decide that at some point that is going to be your vibe.
My vibe, yeah.
Then you go right on ahead. And by the way, Louis, we're not making fun of you. We're actually making fun of us.
I was going to say, a lot of older people don't like being so up high. So you would see
I'm fine with
a lot more.
I'm fine with it, man. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, the Post Malone bar, apparently it's going to be huge.
So what's located there now? 300 block of Broad.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Pretty certain it's a bar.
Yeah.
A press release notes that at 26,000 square feet, the Post Malone bar will be the largest ground floor footprint on Broadway. Let's see, other bars have multiple floors, but this new entertainment space will also compete with 6 bars, 3 stages, and a large dining room. There will also be a rooftop. I'm a big Post Malone fan. I liked his pre-country stuff for the most part. And I also love Post Malone's country album too. So I'm definitely going to be there and when it opens up. And I'm trying to figure out.
305 Broadway, you said, right?
Yeah, 305 Broadway.
That's Tequila Cowboy.
Oh, okay.
Listed there now.
All right. Did they say when? I don't see when it's going to open up.
No, neither do I.
I've been to Kid Rock's place, too. I forgot about that. That was the first bar place I ever went to in Nashville that was owned by a musician or a music star. When we went to Kid Rock's place, and you'll remember this, Jay, maybe you won't. Louis, this is news to you, but folks know that when Brian Wilson and I did that epic live broadcast from Kid Rock's bar, Brian would not share his steak with me. Not one piece. Wouldn't even cut off. And this steak was like the size of Texas. And he wouldn't even give me like an Amarillo-sized piece.
Selfish.
Well,
I couldn't believe. Thank you, Louis.
Selfish.
Absolutely selfish. That Brian Wilson.
I mean, Brian's like 8 feet tall, so you're not going to, argue with him over it.
No, but I could steal a piece and probably outrun him.
Yeah, that's
anyway,
true.
Moving right along. Who cares? All right, it is 7:45. Time to check the roads on WTN. $7:48 on Super Talk 99.7. Partly cloudy today and a high of 90. Let's see here. Joe says, Dan, everyone at a bar is an adult. Come on, old man. I understand that, but you know what I'm talking about. Like somebody, I don't know, Joe, I don't know how old you are, but when I say adult, I mean like somebody that's not getting, drop dead drunk and that kind of a thing. I didn't see any of that at Old Red when I was in there for Blake Shelton. Had some great food, listened to some great music, drank a wee tiny bit as well, and it was a lot of fun. Oh, listen to this. Mike says, I delivered materials to Post Malone's bar last week, and it looked like they were nowhere near finished. I think Post Malone was in Nashville the other day. Who else was in Nashville the other day? Oh, who was it? There's somebody else that was in Nashville, and it was surprising that he was in Nashville. And maybe it was Post Malone. Maybe that's who I'm thinking of. And it turns out, yeah, he is opening a bar here as well. All right, let's see here. Come on, Dan. Don't leave out the part about the guy hitting on you. Somebody hit on me? Where? I mean, that happens on occasion, but I don't remember that. But anyway, whatever. This is what I get, Jay, for actually reading the super text line cold.
That'll show you.
3042, they're opening an In-N-Out in Lebanon on Hartman. Jay, you've had In-N-Out, certainly.
Yes, back in my music industry days,
right.
in my travels out west. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
All right, and best hamburger you've ever had, I assume?
No, but it was very good. I think I've enjoyed some burgers here in town at some places better, but
hey, Jay, why do you believe that Jen Psaki's new show has been an immense flop, even by MSNBC standards? I don't know if this came up during Nashville's Morning News last week, but Jen Psaki, her show, of course, she came on to MSNBC, and everybody thought that Jen Psaki was going to be a big star.
Oh, the darling of the... yeah.
Absolutely.
And her ratings have tanked like 47%.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is a new situation with Jen Psaki where the ratings have tanked or if they've just never done well. But I don't believe that she has any credibility. I mean, I think that's why her show... has she been fired? I don't even know if she's been fired.
And it's...
I know that she was gone. They were running reruns, but yeah, I don't know if she's still on there or not.
But any of those Democratic, press secretaries for Democratic administrations, I mean, what kind of credibility do any of them have, especially Corinne Jean-Pierre? I mean,
yeah, well, you'll notice that she's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, right. And I must say, though, Caroline Leavitt, is that not an impressive young woman?
Oh, she
is a star,
huge
man.
Future. She's got a huge future.
Only 27 years old. And,
I know.
She is a star. That lady, I mean, people try to, these, scumbags with mainstream media try to get her in a corner and all that. And boy.
Oh, yeah.
She weaves her way out of it, man, and sets them straight.
Well,
she's impressive.
Earlier, I played, let me see if I can find it again real quick for people that missed it. There was that epic moment yesterday, and this is what I love, actually, where you had audio, Louie. So I had the audio where Caitlin Collins, where she tried to trip her up and asked this question about Trump's bill. Listen to how Caitlin Collins, she tries to set up the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, and Caroline Leavitt absolutely slam dunks on Caitlin Collins. This is the question. Again, seasoned, like you said, Jay, seasoned, you use the term scumbag. I'll go ahead and go along with that. Seasoned reporter, White House reporter, CNN, the whole thing, Caitlin Collins.
On the big, beautiful bill, you said recently that it is, quote, blatantly wrong to say that it adds to the deficit. You essentially said that an estimate from the Congressional Budget Office and other scorekeepers you believe are wrong. But Republicans like Ron Johnson and Rand Paul disagree. They are saying that it will add to the deficit. That is their concern. Is the White House's position that those two Republican senators are, quote, blatantly wrong?
All right, so that was Caitlin Collins. And obviously, everybody knows that she is a longtime Donald Trump critic. But she asks the question, and she leads talking about Rand Paul and Ron Johnson. Everybody knows that, you do have these senators who are not fans of the bill, and that's fine. But then she starts talking about the CBO and so forth. And I want you to listen to how Caroline Leavitt handles this seasoned White House reporter.
It is. Those senators, it's not news that they disagree with this president on policy, and the president has vocally called them out for it and for their not having their facts together. I would add the Congressional Budget Office has been historically wrong. In fact, they predicted the Trump tax cuts from the president's first term in 2017. Their prediction was wrong by $500 billion. Those tax cuts had nearly $500 billion more of revenue than the Congressional Budget Office scored. And I would also point out, I don't think many people know this, there hasn't been a single staffer in the entire Congressional Budget Office that has contributed to a Republican since the year 2000. But guess what? There have been many staffers within the Congressional Budget Office who have contributed to Democrat candidates and politicians every single cycle since. So unfortunately, this is an institution in our country that has become partisan and political, and we are very confident in our own economic analyses of this bill. There is $1.6 trillion in savings, and our Office of Management and Budget Director, Russ Vought, is a fiscal hawk. He is well known in this city for being a well-respected fiscal hawk. He has tools at his disposal to produce even more savings. And as you know, the White House will be sending our rescissions package to Capitol Hill today.
There you go. So that is
slam dunk.
That is boom worthy, Jay Harper.
Yes, indeed.
By the way, I know, folks, you can stop texting. I know that I said Nashville's morning shoes. I know that did you pick up on that, Jay?
Yeah. But I'm not one to point out those things, Dan.
No, but Joan would, and she's back tomorrow. But yeah, Caroline Leavitt, and somebody said, oh, yeah, she's a smoke show, too.
Yeah, she's...
I'm assuming that means that she is fairly attractive.
Yeah, she's hot.
By the way... I do need to clarify one thing, because I did regale the audience a while ago about some guy that hit on me at Morgan Wallen's bar. Yes, not at Old Red, where Blake Shelton has a bar. But that happened at Morgan Wallen's.
Okay,
place.
Were you wearing your cowboy hat?
No, I had no cowboy hat on. Wow. I didn't have any spurs on.
Yeah,
nothing like. I didn't even have boots on.
Yikes.
He touched my butt.
Really?
Yeah, but we're not going to focus on that.
Okay. All right, moving along.
7:55. And Jay Harper has the news coming up at 8. And then, by the way, Courtney Johnson, she was at the Metro City Council meeting last night as a Metro City Council member, and she's going to give us an update there. What's coming up, Jay?
Sure, Dan. An appeals court, speaking of Metro Council, an appeals court makes a ruling on the size of council. It's rather interesting. And we'll have this morning's money news. That's coming up at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$7.56 on WTN, a great Tennessee company, D.T. McCall's. They've been here for their fellow Tennesseans with great prices, selection, and value for over 100 years. Now, I've been telling you for years about these folks at D.T. McCall's. They've been helping people out for 3 generations, and if you need it, they've got it at D.T. McCall's. Indoor furniture, if you've got a room to fill, go to D.T. McCall's. Of course, you know all about their lawn mowers and outdoor lawn equipment, appliances. If it plugs in, they've got it. And they've always got specials going on to save you money. So they've got items for any budget, and they've got great variety as well. They've been at it for over 100 years at DT McCall's with a focus on customer service. Check out their website, dtmccalls.com. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee: Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin. And again, dtmccalls.com. Dan Mandis here. You know, with the weather in Middle Tennessee, it can get crazy quick, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from my friends at the Generator Supercenter. Now, realize they are the nation's #1, not just Tennessee, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Get a free quote and get peace of mind when you have one installed. When the power's out in your neighborhood, your home is going to have the power on thanks to that backup home standby generator from the Generator Supercenter. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-879-1952. 615-879-1952. Generator Supercenter of Nashville.com.
Good morning. It's 8 a.m. and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories, a weather forecast, a traffic report. They're coming up. A Tennessee appeals court has revived the state legislature's effort to cut the number of Metro Council members from 40 to 20. We hear now from our own Ken Weaver.
The goal of the General Assembly's 2023 Small Government Efficiency Act was to address what supporters said was the effectiveness of Nashville's legislative branch. However, others said it was payback after the Metro Council refused to host the 2024 Republican National Convention. According to the bill, any local governmental body with more than 20 voting members would be required to dissolve and reappropriate current districts with the latest census data. Well, Tuesday's ruling overturns a lower court's ruling last July that said the law was unconstitutional and was celebrated by Mayor Freddie O'Connell and others on the council because it kept it from going into effect. Well, now the next step could be the state Supreme Court. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. Market numbers. We've got them, and they're brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Find them online at beaconcm.com. We've got this morning's money news with Jim Ryan.
New 50% tariffs on imported steel and aluminum took effect at midnight, and analysts expect the price Americans pay for everything from soup to cars to go up. Today is also the deadline for countries to submit their own trade proposals to the White House. Despite that, stock futures were slightly higher overnight. On Tuesday, the Dow Jones gained 214 points to close at 42,519. The Nasdaq added 0.8%. The S&P enjoyed its second day of advances, rising 0.6%. Shares in Toyota plunged as much as 13% this morning as the parent to the Japanese car maker announced a $33 billion plan to take the company private. The proposal includes a tender offer of $113 per share. And Americans appear to be playing a waiting game for summer vacations. Reuters says airline bookings are down and hotel bookings are trending that way as would-be travelers hold out for better deals.
Now let's take a look at your stock numbers now that the opening bell has occurred. The Dow down 25, the S&P it's down 0.5, and the NASDAQ, it's down 4.5. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. The issue we had on Nolensville Pike near the zoo between McNally Drive and Wheeler Avenue, that water main apparently has been fixed, so traffic's starting to clear through there now that they took care of the utility work. But we're still seeing pretty good backup, though, at the intersection just down the road from there at Thompson Lane, so be prepared to sit there for a minute trying to get through that light. Also considerable volume delays on 24 westbound. That would be, well, the normal spots there near Briley, Harding Pike, etc. And we are also seeing a pretty good pile of congestion on 40 westbound between Briley Parkway and 24. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:08, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you tuning in to the Wednesday edition of Nashville's Morning News for your June 4th of 2025. Want to welcome on into the program Courtney Johnston, who, Courtney, a Metro City Council member, you have to have had at least 4 cups of coffee by now, because that Metro City Council meeting that we're going to talk about last night, how long did that go? Was that over 5 hours? Hold on, Courtney. Hold on. You got her? You got pot her up. Bring her up on the audio console. There you are. We got you. We're training Louie, Courtney. So, how long? So you're on now. So how long did that meeting last night?
Well, the public hearing part of it, which was obviously the longest, started at around 6:45 or so, and ended at almost 11:30. And then we were able to actually start the agenda.
So there were how many hours of just people? Because I watched actually some of the video this morning. So are you telling me that they have like 4 hours of people coming in?
Yeah, almost 5 hours. Absolutely. Yeah. And the first termers are like, I can't believe this. This is crazy. I'm like, you guys don't remember 2020 when from this exact meeting, we didn't adjourn until almost 6:30 in the morning the next morning. So it's, but that was also the 34% tax increase year.
So Courtney, I want to play an example, because I listened to some of it, but I want to play an example.
You're going to make me relive it?
I am going to make you relive it, as a matter of fact. Don't worry, I've tightened it up a little bit. But this was the first dude that came up, and he was talking about the greatness of Antioch. Listen.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Trent Benge. I'm a small media business owner, musician, and community advocate. And I'm also the Antioch Regional Chair for the Davidson County Democratic Party.
All right, so you heard his, Democrat street cred.
Part of the diverse community that I represent includes the neighborhoods of District 28. On Memorial Day, this district council member chose to demonize and denigrate his own constituents, the very people that he swore an oath to represent and to protect, as our neighbors, friends, and loved ones were disappeared from off our streets, from our neighborhoods, and from our churches. Councilmember David Benton chose to cozy up to a congressman under federal investigation. I have seen it firsthand. I was born, raised, and chose to build my life along the Nolensville Pike corridor. And night after night, I watched as my neighbors, my friends, people who raised me, the people that I know and love, were kidnapped as their families were torn apart and local businesses were decimated.
So, Courtney, I mean, this dude, obviously, he had a bunch of people out in the hallway, and he clearly had an agenda. He's going after David Benton. We're going to talk about him in a second. But is that basically what this was, 5 hours of grandstanding?
I think that portion that you just played was from the public comment period, which we have a 20-minute, up to 20 minutes every meeting that people can come. And so it wasn't the public hearing on the budget, but yes. So the vast majority of that 20 minutes was attacking Councilmember Benton, for sure.
And let me ask you, the David Benton, I mean, is he conservative? Is he Republican? What is he? He was up there, by the way, for people that don't know. David Benton was up there with Congressman Andy Ogles as he was calling for this investigation into Freddie O'Connell, Mayor Freddie O'Connell. So, I mean, do you think he is going to ultimately be voted out? What do you think is going to happen to David Benton?
No. I mean, the mechanism to recall someone is extremely hard. People have tried to do it. It's just extremely hard to do that. The council can't vote a member out. They can censor a member, but that really does nothing. So nothing will happen. I would assume that at some point it would die down. Unfortunately, the way our council is he's probably he's given himself a really, really hard path forward to getting anything done. for his district because there will be retribution. So I'm not sure he could get a resolution passed that says the sky is blue.
Which is really sad. Which is really sad
It's very sad, and it's very sad, and it's also just a prime example of, the party of welcoming and the party of tolerance, and they're welcoming and tolerant unless you disagree with them, and then it's pitchforks and
torches.
It's just
yeah.
So hopefully that distraction can die down and we can get back to the business of legislating and representing Davidson County.
All right, real quick. So they're very dysfunctional. But it seemed like there was a lot of folks there wanted to talk about the ICE raids and illegal immigration and all these things. But one of the things that they did, and this is what they always do, as you know, Courtney Johnson, is they like to conflate illegal immigration with immigrants or migrants. And I watched a lot of that meeting last night, Courtney, and not a lot of those folks were talking about the crimes that these folks had committed or the fact that they were indeed illegal aliens as opposed to immigrants.
Yeah, we had people that were wearing T-shirts that say immigrants vote. That's correct. Immigrants do vote. We do have a large population of immigrants that contribute greatly to this community, 100%.
Yep.
There is a conflation between our immigrant community. You're exactly right. There's no need to repeat it. 100%.
All right, real quick. I got to check traffic. Then we're going to get to the nuts and bolts of what happened last night. 8:15, time to check the roads on WTN. $8:15, as far as your weather, partly cloudy today and a high of 90. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. All right, so big news broke yesterday, Courtney Johnson, where a Tennessee appeals court has now revived state Republicans' efforts to cut the size of Nashville's 40-member Metro Council in half. I think this is probably going to go to the state Supreme Court. I'm sure that there was some reaction to this last night.
Actually, I didn't hear one word about it, really. I don't know. It was kind of a weird dynamic. Nobody was really talking about it. I don't know that they were surprised. The meeting was gavelled in by the vice mayor who had her comments about it. And you're right. It probably will go to the state Supreme Court, which I think is probably an exercise in futility. In my mind, at some point, you have to take your licks and move on. And there are other things that this county has need to focus on from a legal perspective that it may just be time to say, listen, the state won, we're going to be reduced. Let's figure out the best way to draw these districts for the best representation and the most efficient, effective form of government for Davidson County and just move forward. That likely is not going to happen. They will likely fight just for the sake of fighting, even if it's just to say we fought. But it's quite a bit of time, money, resources that's put into this fight and to appeal at the Supreme Court level. It adds a lot of time. The next election is in 2027, which sounds like it's really far away. It's not.
Nope.
And there's a lot of work to be done if we are going to be reduced to redraw these districts and figure out the balance between district council members and at large and how many and yada, yada. So, again, I think a reasonable person would say, I think the best path forward is just to accept defeat, for lack of a better term. I do think that reducing the council is a move in the right direction for efficiency. We have a 40-member body that are part-time, very, very part-time, and this is not a part-time job. We are dealing with a $3.8 billion budget at this point. We have a dynamic economy. The county is just, it is massive. It is continuing to grow, and it deserves full-time attention, and we can't do that with 40 members.
So let me ask you, Courtney, real quick. If they go down to 20 members, does it then become a full-time position?
It should be. That's the other part that we have to contemplate is if we're going to have 20 members, we probably and make it has to be a full-time job at that point, because at that point, there's 35 districts. Let's say you double that. That means I'm going to have a little over 40,000 constituents with all of the needs that go along with that. So I probably need a support staff. Right now, if you call my office is me. I'm answering all my emails. I do all of everything. And so I need it would be helpful to have someone to help me with policy. So we need support staff. Right now we're paid $23,100, which forces it to be a part-time job because you can't live on $23,000 a year. So that pay would need to be bumped up to allow for people to give the full-time focus that it deserves. So the whole thing would have to be restructured. And again, right now we're operating on the structure that was put in place in 1963, if you can imagine. The difference of 20 years ago, much less in 1963, how different Davidson County was. And so it is time to probably update this very antiquated model.
Okay. Other things that were discussed last night at this meeting, a Metro City Council meeting, Courtney Johnson joining us, a discussion of property taxes and Mayor O'Connell's budget. Give me basically the high points or the low points of what was discussed, and is there any indication as to where this is going to go? So from the council perspective, we did not really deliberate much on the budget. It was on second reading. The budget chair's substitute will be filed for next meeting. There's also another substitute that me and a few other council members are looking at that reduces spending, reduces the tax rate and the burden on the taxpayer. So that will be filed and we will have a discussion then. Really, the focus on this particular meeting was the public hearing and listening to people and what they want to see in this budget for themselves, for the community, and you saw 5 hours of that. One of the things that I thought was interesting is, you had folks screaming about ICE and all that kind of stuff. It seems like there was like a very coordinated effort to make this into a big grandstanding kind of a thing.
It always is. Is
it always like that? All right.
Yeah. You've got organized groups like the varsity, I don't know what their varsity something, Stand Up Nashville, People's Budget, NOAA, SEIU, the
yes,
labor
I saw union members there.
Yeah, and we get those every year, and so I have a different take on that. Those folks are, especially SEIU, are some of our lowest paid employees. Mm-hmm. They also do the jobs that are necessary to keep our schools running, our city running, and so they are coming every single year to beg for a 1% increase. Typically it's 1%. Sometimes that varies. And when you're talking about people that are making, let's say, $40,000 a year, they're asking for $400 and they are begging and they're staying in there till midnight to do it. So that shows that our system and our pay plan is broken. The rest of it is very coordinated and based in activism. Yeah.
Talk about the school's budget, because everybody knows that is a massive part of Nashville's budget. What is going on with that?
So, yeah, it is 37% of the proposed $3.8 billion budget. If the mayor's proposed budget goes through, it will reflect over $500 million in new money over the past 5 years. It is massive. All while enrollment has remained flat. It varies between 80 and 82,000 students. My focus is on outcomes. They are very, very proud of themselves that last year they had the highest graduation rate. That's great. Mm-hmm. The problem with that is that the overwhelming majority of those that graduated were not, quote unquote, ready graduates, meaning they were not ready for post-secondary education. They were not ready for the workforce. Yep. So really should we be celebrating that, and should we be rewarding that with an additional $132 million on top? So people need to understand what we have in Tennessee is what's called maintenance of effort. So when you allocate dollars to a school district one year, you cannot reduce that the next year. It has to be the same or more. maintenance of effort. So this $132 million is on top of last year's budget. John Cooper did a pretty good job investing in schools over his term. I just think at some point we have to say, wait a minute. We have been throwing money at this problem, and I don't see that the outcomes are getting better. And so maybe the answer is not to throw money at it. Maybe we should figure out what's actually wrong. When I've got teachers that are reaching out to me, the MNEA, which is their union, saying it's not even so much about pay. Certainly they would love to get paid more. But their survey said it's not even about pay. It's about being able to do their job. The teachers are saying teaching is actually coming second based off of all the administrative nonsense that is put on their shoulders. And so the structure of it is wrong, in my opinion, and they should be listening to the teachers. Those are the boots on the ground. I think we are extremely top heavy. There are way too many people and way too many dollars being sent to Bransford Avenue. And that's doing nothing but just adding to the bureaucracy. And I think we all have the same opinion on dead weight bureaucary, and that's exactly what it is.
We sure. When you say Bransford Avenue, is that like the school
yeah,
board?
that's that's their headquarters.
Got it.
And so
okay.
That's where Dr. Battle works, and yeah.
I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of Adrian Battle, and we'll just leave it at that. That's been well documented. So, all right, well, very good. Courtney I feel we got to start making your hits like 2 segments because there's so much to talk about. And during the morning show, everything is so compacted. But I love the update, and we'll have you back again real soon. When is the next meeting?
2 weeks from yesterday.
Okay.
I don't know the date.
All right.
Yeah.
2 weeks from yesterday.
Yep, first and third Tuesday of every month.
All right, very good. By the way, inquiring minds on the Super Text line want to know, we were having a discussion earlier, Courtney Johnson, about In-N-Out hamburgers and if they are going to be the best in Tennessee. And so I need your official Metro City Council member opinion on whether or not In-N-Out Burger will be the best hamburger in the state of Tennessee when they come.
I certainly hope that it is everything everyone hopes and dreams that it could be.
Listen to Courtney Johnson going all politician on us.
Personally, I'm a Rally's Burger fan, so and we don't have Rally's here or Checkers. I miss Checkers. I don't know what happened to Checkers.
Yeah.
So In-N-Out, I don't know, and I don't get up to that area very often either. So
you know what? I will have In-N-Out delivered literally to your office. And then you'll be obligated to tell us that it is the best hamburger in Nashville. And Courtney, as always, thank you very much for joining us on Nashville's Morning. I know I'm running late, but Courtney's kind of awesome, so I wanted to get her on the record, Jay Harper.
Yes,
her official opinion on In-N-Out.
Finally, some intelligent takes on things.
That's exactly right.
From Ms. Johnson.
That's exactly right. Wanted to get her on the record. All right, Jay, what's coming up?
Yes, the latest round of tariffs going into effect today. 2 Chinese nationals arrested here in the U.S., and we'll tell you why. And a Rutherford County ADA arrested. We've got that and more coming up. 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay. Dan Mandis here. Low T Center. Listen, guys, over 40, if you're running low on energy, maybe you're just feeling off, Low T Center is where you need to go. Get started with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, and join lots of other guys who are going through the same thing as you. You know, they've got clinics all over Nashville, and they're really easy to get to. You walk in, you see a real medical provider, and you get that energy back. No complicated process, just results. And remember, these treatment plans, they are tailor-made just for you. So head on over to the Low T Center, lowtcenter.com, and book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Simple, quick, and totally worth it. Hey, business owners, if you have a concrete floor that needs a little love, my friends at Specialty Coatings, they can help you. Now, they specialize in concrete floor coatings and polished concrete as well. And they've been doing it for 30 years here in Middle Tennessee. As a matter of fact, you've probably walked on some of their incredible concrete floor coating. They're all around the major sports stadiums, the arenas, convention centers as well. You know, just last year, Specialty Coatings in Nashville, they installed over 1 million square feet of coatings for businesses across Tennessee. They can help you if you're a business owner. Now, those buildings, the 1 million square feet, those buildings include manufacturing warehouses, airplane hangars, retail, and a lot more. And again, they've been around for a long time. They've got the equipment and the skilled installers, so your job is going to be on time and on budget. So no matter how bad your floors might look now, Specialty Coatings can fix it, make your business look a lot better. Each project is customized to your building and your needs. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-591-9491. 615-591-9491. Email them, sales@specialtycoat.com. That's the email address, and the website, specialtycoat.com.
Good morning. We are coming up on 8:30. I'm Jay Harper, and I've got your top stories. We'll get you a traffic and weather report here in just a bit. President Trump's latest tariffs going into effect today. Here's ABC's Rebecca Jarvis.
Major big box retailers, Target, Walmart, Costco, among them, saying prices will go up, and we're already starting to see that. The baby born doll, for example, at Walmart, $34.97 in March. Now, in May, $49.97. The Light Bright, $14.97, now $21.97.
The Justice Department saying 2 Chinese nationals smuggled a potential agro-terrorism weapon into the U.S. The fungus known to kill crops and be harmful to humans. The 2 suspects, they were allegedly receiving Chinese government funding for their quote-unquote research. Here's ABC's Pierre Thomas with more.
They're alleging that they tried to smuggle a very dangerous fungus into the United States, one that annually causes billions in damages in crops around the world. And if consumed by humans, can cause vomiting, birth defects, and other types of illnesses, including liver damage. So they're saying that this is a national security matter, and they're treating it as such.
Back here in Middle Tennessee, an assistant district attorney facing charges after he allegedly assaulted a woman multiple times in Rutherford County. That's according to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. The TBI reports that on Tuesday, agents began investigating allegations of domestic and aggravated assault. Assistant District Attorney Quinn Rodriguez was determined to have assaulted a woman, according to the TBI. Rodriguez allegedly brandished a gun and threatened to kill the woman and then hit her with a weapon during one of the reported assaults. Agents arrested the ADA on charges of domestic and aggravated assault yesterday afternoon. He's been booked into the Rutherford County Jail on a $10,000 bond. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, back from vacation, and of course, I missed being here with you, but I also missed my rock-solid internet at home. That's right. You know, Xfinity, I've been a customer for years, and change is always happening. It is a part of life. When it comes to music, for example, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten, classics are remixed, bands and artists, they come and go. Even our taste in music can change. But no matter how things do change in 5 years, there's one thing that will always stay the same: the price of your internet, thanks to Xfinity. Xfinity is introducing a 5-year price guarantee. That's right, a 5-year price guarantee. Now, it means that you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with their best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same over 5 years. If you're surprised, well, yeah, life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years guaranteed, thanks to Xfinity. Find out more, xfinity.com/deals. That's xfinity.com/deals. Check them out today. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024. Dan Mendes here for Contours. Listen, Father's Day is coming up, and if the dad in your life has a dad bod that he'd like to get rid of, help him out with a belly buster special from Contours. It's a Father's Day special from Contours for just $99. You can get in one of those belly buster specials if you call right now, 615-236-9960. First 10 callers do get that $99 special from Contours. Now, if you don't have a dad and you just want to, quite frankly, if you just want to use it yourself, well, you can as well. You know, most folks lose at least 2 inches in the middle. I did, others have as well. Taking advantage of Contours red light technology, it's not only incredibly unique, but also effective. Now, folks have been coming from all across Middle Tennessee to check them out. You could go to their website and see how their belly buster therapy featuring red light technology actually works. And don't forget that great deal right now. First 10 callers get that special price of $99. 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960, ContoursLLC.com.
We have a stalled dump truck, and it's blocking the right exit lane of 40 westbound right before you try to exit 205. Also, a crash report in Hart Lane at Gallatin Pike. And we've got another crash, Church Street, just west of Rosa L. Parks Boulevard. And still a crash, but it's not really affecting traffic much. This is Douglas Avenue at Ellington Parkway. It's pushed over to the shoulder. But in any event, we've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:39, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. It's time for the crisscross handoff.
What's up, Dano? I heard Brian Wilson call you Dano, and I thought to myself, I want to bring that into rotation as well.
Do you want to bring that in? Listen, I've been
do.
called a lot worse, and I've actually been called a lot worse by Brian Wilson.
I believe it. I heard the story where you tried to steal his steak, and he wasn't very happy about it.
Oh, that was the man is like a pit bull when it comes to steaks.
You had an opportunity to order your own meal, correct?
No, I didn't.
Well,
okay, so this is the rest of the story. Brian Wilson and I don't even know why we were randomly at Kid Rock's bar. I have no idea.
Selected as Kid Rock VIPs.
So they wanted Brian to do this when Brian was doing the mornings, and they wanted him to do a live broadcast at Kid Rock's bar. Okay, fine. So Brian goes and he does it, and I tagged along, and because doing a remote broadcast from a bar kind of helps to have some support, and Brian and I get along famously. So
at least you did until that day.
But then, exactly. So then they tell me, though, that only one meal was available for staff, and that was for Brian.
Well, he was the host.
I was the program director.
You admitted yourself this was a tag-along.
Yeah, it was. I hate you. Why are you going to go all talk show hosty on me now? Is that what you're going to do?
I feel like I have to play devil's advocate here because the great Brian Wilson isn't available to defend himself.
He's been defending himself against this for a long time. There is no defense. Anyway, whatever. But it was so much fun. And do you know the whole story?
No.
So Kid Rock is like way over there. And we have this on tape somewhere. Kid Rock is way over there. And we start screaming for Kid Rock to come over. And I'm thinking there's absolutely no way that he is going to come over to, to our little radio broadcast. Fox News was there as well, by the way. And we start screaming. It was so embarrassing. We start screaming at the top of our lungs, "Hey, Kid Rock, come here!"
You should have called him Bob.
And he slows down, and he looks over to our our area, and he came over, and it was amazing. I could not believe that Kid Rock had actually come over, and he talked to he spoke to Brian. And it was great. It was amazing. So it was a lot of fun. And again, Brian, I forget exactly what the conversation was like, but yeah, it was cool. I mean, that's why I love Kid Rock, and I'm a big fan of his country stuff.
Are you angling for a live broadcast for Nashville's Morning News at Post Malone's new bar?
I would do that in a heartbeat. Absolutely, I would, because I think that. Oh, here's the interview. As I'm talking, you can see me. I'm looking for the. I'm going to listen to this real quick and see if this is Brian and I trying to get him to come over. Hold on.
So,
no, we didn't.
No, you didn't get that. You didn't get that on the tape.
Whoever dubbed this in didn't do the begging and the pleading.
They edited out the screaming like your Taylor Swift fans at Nissan.
Yes, Brian had a K on his belly and I had an R on mine. We were doing that whole thing.
I would pay money for that. I'll get you a steak if you guys want to do that.
I would love to do a live broadcast from Post Malone's place.
Yeah.
That would be epic. And then Post Malone would come talk to me.
Yeah, he would.
I'd ask him about those metal teeth.
Would you?
I don't know. You're of that hip hop world. Why do people have metal teeth?
For
what
fun.
is the point? I ask Amy about this all the time.
It's fun.
She's never given me an appropriate response. I don't understand why you would pull out all your teeth and then, is that what they do? And then replace them with metal, or do they just cap them?
I don't think everybody pulls them all out.
All right.
I think a lot of them are just covers.
They're just covers?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hip hop.
But why do they do that? I don't understand it.
It's fancy.
Is that what it is? It's fancy?
It's fancy.
All right, very good.
Put your money where your mouth is.
How much does that cost? Metal teeth?
I mean, I guess it depends on what you're melting down for everything. If it's white gold, it's going to be a little bit more.
When are you going to do that? You're from the hip hop world. You're going to do that?
No.
And by the way, I'm not dissing anybody with metal. If you happen to be listening and you have metal teeth, Listen, your teeth are worth more than mine.
This is true.
So, fact check true, right?
Yeah, no, I know a lot of people that have those.
Okay. Does it make your teeth? Does it make it like your? Do you remember in the Brady Bunch episode when I think it was Jan that got the braces?
Can we just talk about how great it is that you've tied metal teeth to the Brady Bunch for a second and just bask in that
That's a Marconi winning radio professional right there. But
remember the episode of the Brady Bunch where Jan got some ice in her grill?
It's exactly right. No, but Jan said that everything tasted like metal when she got her braces. So I'm just wondering if it actually does make everything taste like metal.
I wouldn't see that happening.
No?
No. Jan was in
I have diamonds in my mouth and I don't taste metal.
Yeah, Louis got the teeth.
Louis, you have metal teeth?
You didn't notice that? I thought that's why we were talking about this.
Dude's got metal teeth.
Yeah.
I need sunglasses. They're just so shiny.
Louis got a grill.
Yeah. Permanent.
Permanent?
Yeah. Come out.
Is this camera on? Is your camera on? So
it's about to be.
I had no idea.
You had no idea. I assumed that we were going down this
From
this
a
teeth
distance, they
combo.
look like white teeth.
Yeah, I didn't know he had metal teeth. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we need to get somebody in here with some street cred.
Well,
that's Louis.
Clearly, he told me. Louis told me earlier that his vibe was country bars,
Rooftop bars. I heard that.
Bars.
I heard that.
His vibe.
Yeah. That's the aesthetic.
Yeah. So you know what? Here's what I think is going to happen. Louis is Chris is no longer the coolest on the station. It's going to be Louis.
100%.
Now, okay. So can I ask Louis then? And I don't mean any disrespect. Why did you do that? Like, what's the reason? Well, he comes from the hip hop world too. You were telling me that you're like a music. That's like part of your deal.
As a kid, I used to like the little Halloween vampire fang grills. I went from those to getting a little play golden grill.
Yeah.
I used to put the gum wrapper on my teeth. I just always liked grills.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just always been a thing of mine.
Now, may I ask, is that covered by most medical insurance? Was that on your dental plan?
No, it's not.
Okay. Do you mind if I ask? And if I'm like asking too many personal questions, it's cool.
No, ask away.
All right. So, did they charge you by the tooth, or how does that work?
Yeah, they charged me by the tooth. They charged me for the dental work before they put the teeth on, and they charged me for getting the mold made.
The mold. Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of metal is it? Do you know?
White gold.
Oh, okay.
See, that is some style there. White, not gold,
but
white gold.
You got to class it up.
That's actually very cool. Now, I'd never do it.
The cool thing about Louis is he can produce now, but he can also run security for us at events. He can just stand at the door and be like, nah, and then people will be like, okay.
So how much did it cost?
For the grill or for just the whole?
For the whole thing.
Well, so I got 10 at the top and 12 at the bottom. It was $2,000 per tooth.
10 on the top, 10 on the bottom, $2,000 per tooth. What year did you do it?
2020.
Okay, so it would be more expensive now.
And you got it done during COVID.
I got it done during COVID, yep.
And you're fully aware that this job is not going to
doing COVID,
not
so
going
that was
to cover
probably the
those
best
bills.
time to get them at the time.
Yeah, that was the best
Really?
time? All right,
Yeah.
so do the math. How much was it? So
20K.
20,000?
No,
40K.
No, 40.
Yeah, 40.
40K.
Jesus. That's a home loan.
That is a home loan. That's like a down payment on a townhouse in Brentwood.
That's 4 years of radio salary. I mean,
That's actually
Louis,
true.
you realize what you've gotten yourself into here.
Now listen, we're not picking on the new guy, Louis. But okay. So does your spaghetti taste like metal, like Jan Brady said?
That's a good question.
I'm gonna say when I first got them, eating was a little bit weird because it's like I could taste the food. I had to get adjusted to it. My mouth had to get adjusted. Like even my speech, it was a little different at first because the caps were on so tight. Like I had to get them readjusted at one point. But over time, the more I started talking, the more I got comfortable with him, everything kind of started feeling a little bit more natural.
All right, now I've got a question. If times get tough, radio doesn't pay, can you like pull out the white gold and sell it on the market, on the black market?
So the thing about diamonds, they
don't have any resale value.
Yeah.
No?
No.
Oh, okay.
Diamonds are a scam.
Diamonds are a scam.
Diamonds are a scam.
Yeah,
it's a big marketing effort.
I wouldn't advise anyone to get them. If
with your teeth, you have regrets?
I don't have regrets. Like as far as just diamonds and buying diamonds and trying to resell it, like if you're gonna buy it, just have no intentions on trying to resell it.
Does your wife have a diamond earring? Not a diamond earring, a diamond, like wedding ring?
Yeah, yes. I did both. I tried to talk her out of it, but she's pretty adamant.
we actually didn't do a diamond. I'm gonna have to.
I tried to tell her. I was like, you understand how many little kids lost arms for this? And then she was like, Chris, stop. And I said, but seriously, is that what you want to do? And she's like, stop. So I did.
We didn't go diamonds for Amy.
Okay.
No, I'm trying to figure out. Amy's gonna kill me for this. What is in your ring? It's not white gold, but it's something. What is in your ring? It's not white gold. It's not a diamond. We
platinum.
Yeah, I was going to say platinum.
It might be platinum. I don't know. Yellow sapphire.
Ooh.
That's right. Only the good stuff. See, I knew a couple of things. Number one, I knew that little kids were losing arms when you go diamond.
This is true.
That's number one. And number two, I wanted a diamond as unique as the woman I love.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you knew the thing about resale value.
That too. That too. Although when you get divorced, you don't get the wedding ring back, do you? I know my ex-wife still has her ring.
I guess it depends on
if you can
timing.
If you can figure out a way to have the woman throw it at you,
there you
then
go.
you get the ring back and you can sell it.
Well, my first wife, she gave me the ring back, but I discovered that she had replaced the diamond with a cubic zirconia.
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding, Jay?
No, I swear.
Ruthless.
Yeah. Because
Is that why you divorced her?
No, there were more reasons, far more
Why'd you get divorced,
important.
Jay? Moving on. I'm kidding. So she replaced the...
yeah, I got the ring back, and it was a cubic zirconia in the thing. Yeah. And because I went to, I was in radio, so I needed the money. So I went to sell the thing, and, hey, this is a cubic zirconia. I was like, get out of here. Yeah.
You sure you weren't duped in the beginning?
No.
Yeah, that's where my mind went. Was it duped on the front end?
All right,
well, if that's the case, then Zales owed me money. But no, but yeah, she swapped it out, man.
That's crazy.
So is yellow sapphire the same thing as platinum? Amy said yellow sapphire, and then she sent me one word, platinum, and I don't know what that means.
Wasn't yellow sapphire would be the stone, right? And then platinum would be the band?
Yeah, I just paid for it, man. I don't know.
Based.
You did too.
I have no idea what I did. I was like, you like this one? Perfect.
See, that's exactly right. That's why when I do commercials about Brentwood jewelry, it's important to bring, not only your checkbook, but also your wife to be, to make sure that she's on board with the ring.
It's far too risky to go in that alone. Far too risky.
I would never do that.
No.
First wife did the same thing. Just go in. And do you like it? Yes. Here's the check. Here's the money. That to me, that makes the most sense.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah. Louis, you married? It's got to figure out the microphone.
I am married.
You are married?
Yeah.
So did you include your wife in the ring purchasing situation?
Yeah.
You did? All right. See. What about you, Jay?
Well, we went, and I knew what kind she wanted. So, but I did go and purchase it solo, but we had already talked about what she wanted. She wanted a marquee cut and this, that, and what have you. But I purchased it solo, but I knew.
All right. And that's first wife or second wife?
Second wife.
All right, very good.
Yeah, for 36 years. Matter of fact, 36th anniversary next week.
Oh, no kidding.
Congrats.
All right, congratulations.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, 36 years. How's your wife doing? She okay?
Yeah. Yeah, we're hanging in there.
All right, I got to go. 8:54, Jay, what's coming up?
Yes, Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Rubio calling for rebuilding America's industrial base. They made their comments at an event last night. We'll have more on the Diddy trial and the latest on the escaped Louisiana prisoners. Those stories coming up at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I absolutely love Chris Hands. You can do that at the open?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna start the show with that.
All right. If you do nothing else today, listen to Chris Hands' opening segment. I'm going to make sure that I scurry down to my car to hear it because it's a great story.
Oh, we got a Pride Month update that you're not going to want to miss.
All right, Dan Mettes here from my friends at Stoltz Co., a great Tennessee company that does continue to grow and continues to expand. Now, you know that with Stoltz Co., they build incredible pole barns. Now, these pole barns can be anything you want it to be, a garage, an event space, an equestrian building, even what we like to call barn-dominiums. You can live in these pole barns, and these days, those barn-dominiums are new and improved. Stoltz Co. is now offering you turnkey options. Now, that means that they handle the design, the construction, and the amazing finishing touches. You turn the key, and you are home courtesy of Stoltz Co. And by the way, they also now are offering storm shelters as well to keep you and your family safe. 615-622-5992. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-622-5992. Instagram, Facebook, or at their website, STOLTZCO, stoltzco.com.